You and me, that one day our world will be COVID-free. Get up, no faith can never stop me. Get up and move. We get up as we propel across oceans. Together we sail the world. For you, we do it for you. We get up, no storm can never stop us now. Just know that we're set for you. Can't go home now, yeah. Can't go home yet. Gotta finish what we started. Gotta finish what we signed on. Most of all, we gotta do it for you. We get up, no wave can never stop us. We get up and move. We get up as we propel across the oceans. Together we sail the world. We do it for you. We do it for you. We get up, and the storm can never stop us now. You know we do it all for you. You. Oh, we'll always sail for you.
La 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 la. Anong balita dyan ng mga chong? Ayos pa ba ang buhay kahit parang nakakulong? Ang pagtatrabaho ngayon sa barko ng mga tripulanting Pilipino. At sa paglipas ng bawat sandali, kaya pa rin ngumiti kahit di makauwi. Awit, kabaro kabayan, kapagod wala yan kasi talagang ganyan sa profesyon natin. Konting tiis magkakasahod din. At ngayon sabay-sabay nating awitin. Lalala, basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masigit pa kahit na marami mang problema ang dumaan. Wala lang yan, basta't nandyan ang buong katropa. Ako, ikaw, sila, halina't kumanta. Lala, la 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 la. Laging saludo at taas noo, magsaraman ng mundo, tuloy pa rin ng pagserbisyo. Ang mga kargada pinapadala para sa kinabukasan ng mga bansa. Cause we are sailing around the world together. Iba my darling, yung iba naman walang forever. Kabaro kabayan, padayon ng laban kasi talagang ganyan sa profesyon natin. Malayo man makakaraos din. At ngayon sabay-sabay nating awitin. Lalala, basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masigit pa kahit na marami mang problema ang dumaan. Wala lang yan, basta't nandyan ang buong katropa. Ako, ikaw, sila, halina't kumanta. Lalala, kahit saan man tayo mapunta, balang araw magkikita pa rin sana. Lalala, Basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masigit pa kahit na may bagyo man o pandemya, maalon man o walang-wala. Basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masigit pa kahit na marami mang problema ang dumaan. Isipin lang na para yan sa ating pamilya. Ako, ikaw sila, halina't kumanta. Lala, lalalala, lalalala, lala, lalalala, lalalala, lala.
Tutoy, ingat ka dyan palagi. Hiniintay ka na ng pamangkin mo. Magbe-birthday na naman ang pamangkin mo, wala ka na naman, sayang.
Kuya, pag uwi niyo po, pasalubungan niyo po ako. Gusto ko po ng bike.
Hello?
Bart, standby.
Okay, sige.
Naglalaki ang alon, nagwawala sa dilim. Bugso ng malakas na hangin, sumasabay na rin. Unti-unting nagdidilim ang langit, wala ka na makikitang bituin. Sumasabay sa agos, lumalaban sa unos. Pangungulila ay tinitis, binaliwalang pagod ang mabigyan ng magandang buhay ang mga minamahal at ang makatulong sa inang bayan sa isang simpleng paraan. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, ang husay mo'y kinikilala saan mang sulok sa mundo. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, taas noong umuwi sa bayan ko. Ipalam sa aking mga kaibigan kung ano na talaga ang kalagayan ng mga seaman. Baka kasi akala nyo lang na kami ay manhid at wala nang pakiramdam. Kung di kaya ang nasa isip nyo, kami ay mga superman na di tinatabla ng pagod kailanman. Sala sa init, sala sa lamig, lahat ginagawa pangarap lang ay makamit. Gusto nang umuwi pero wala pang kapalit, dumadagdag pa sa pasakit ang piyay na kubig. Kaya relax na lang kung kaya mo yan. Walang makatitinag sa matibay na damdamin ng isang seaman. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, ang husay mo'y kinikilala saan mang sulok sa mundo. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, taas noong umuwi sa bayan ko.
Anak, ilang Pasko at birthday ka na namin hindi nakakasama. Kailan ka ba uwi? Ingatan mo lagi ang sarili mo.
Anak, nakuha ko ng padala mong pampagawa natin ng bahay. Ingat ka dyan lagi. Mahal ka namin.
kami sa inyong pagkakaalam? Ano ba ang parte sa mundong ginagaluhan? Kung wala kami, paano na ang kalakalan? Tsak na di makakarating inyong pangangailangan. Palutang-lutang sa karagatan, malayo sa kanya, kanyang tahanan. Ang mga bagay na yan baliwala lang para sa magandang kinabukasan. Mga tipo ng taong matatatag, sa naglalaki ang alon di pa titibag. Naisipan kita sa nakakarami, kung ano nga ba at sino ba kami. Kami lang naman o ang nagsusupply ng langis nang sa inyong sasakyan may mailagay. At din namin iba't ibang pagkain nang sa inyong hapagkainan may maihain. Kami din nagdi-deliver ng mga damit, mga gadget material na inyong ginagamit. Isipin nyo na lang kung kami mawawala, paano tatakbo ekonomiya sa isang bansa. Man kung kami tawagin, likas na matyaga makamit lang ang adikain. Pagod, turma na lang sa amin, hanggang pinabukasan puyat man tuloy pa rin. Bagyo man ay kadasuungin, matibay ang loob sa nalupalupad pa rin. Pagsubok, lahat ay kakayanin, dugong Pilipino taglay ang aking galing. Sino ba kami sa inyong pagkakaalam? Ano ba ang parte sa mundong ginagaluhan? Kung wala kami, paano na ang kalakalan? Tsak na di makakarating inyong pangangailangan. Unti-unting lumiliwanag na naman aming uumpisahan ng magkapumbabakan. Sinimulan na sa kubyerta ni maestro, kaya tigtikalawang nasa kanya-kanyang pwesto. Habang kami naman doon sa ilalim, masigasig na nakikinig ng toolbox meeting. Aking inanda ang mga tools na gagamitin. Nasira ang bomba kaya aming mabaklasin. Kung tatanungin nyo asan si Mayor, andun yung sa galing nagluluto yung for sure. O siya, tapos na ang trabaho, tara magpahinga sa kainan magsalo-salo. Sino ba kami sa inyong pagkakaalam? Ano ba ang parte sa mundong ginagaluhan? Kung wala kami, paano na ang kalakalan? Tsak na di makakarating inyong pangangailangan. Naman ang nangyari sa hinaharap, tuloy pa rin sa pagsilbi. Kulang ang isang kanta para malaman nyo kung ano nga ba at sino nga ba kami.
I hope I am really a true champion of the seafaring industry, our modern heroes, our Filipino seafarers. Before I proceed, please allow me to share a passage from the Bible, which I believe we can use this as we battle against COVID-19 and we move forward in an uncertain future. In Isaiah 41:10, it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand."
Mahal naming pamilya, ngunit tuloy pa rin kami at hindi kami nagsasawa. At sa awa, dinawalan ng ganang maglingkod sa likod ng mga pagsubok na tila pinagbuklod. Pagkos pinatunayan namin sa mundo na kaya namin sagupain ang mga alon at agupit ng hangin. Dahil may Panginoong gabayagi sa paglayag, isa to patunay sa bukutangin abilidad. May tanyag nakalidad ang mga nasa unang hanay. Ano man ang mangyaring handang itaya ang buhay. Nasa mga bagong henerasyon tawag bayaning buhay. Bagamat unang paay nahanay na sa buhay. Ako'y marinong Pilipino, taas noo kahit kanino. Saan man dako mapuntay, papatunayan ko. Kaya-kaya ko kahit anumang Napilit makatawid sa bingit, nito mapanirang sakit. Subalit sumabit sa lubid ng mahigpit upang ligtas na maihatid. Kargada na bitbit tungo sa iba't ibang panig. Nadong delikadong trabahong di pwedeng idaan sa biro, kasi anumang oras nakaambang anumang peligro. Kaya kanang kamay itaas at ilagay sa noo bilang pagsaludo sa mga marinong Pilipino. Laging hiling sa taas, makauwing ligtas upang makapiling pamilyang iniwan sa Pinas. Kaya kahit mabigat pilit, iatang sa balikat ang tungkulin namin bilang isang nagpapaglayag. Ako'y marinong Pilipino, taas noo kahit kanino. San banda ko mapuntay, papatunayan ko na kaya-kaya ko kahit anumang dilubyo. Maging hagupit ng hangin ay sasalubungin ko, kasi kaya ko. Ako'y marinong Pilipino, taas noo kahit kanino. San banda ko mapuntay, papatunayan ko. Protegido lagi dapat ang laging sa puso ko. Laging pumiliya dahil dito tayo nakasilbi. Sumuko sa litang hindi na ilagay sa ulo ko. Basta Pinoy kayang uwi ang kampiyanan.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of the Maritime Industry Symposium, entitled The Philippine Maritime Industry Amidst COVID-19 Pandemic, Today and Tomorrow. To our distinguished guests, our colleagues from the national government and the Marina, our stakeholders, and to everyone who took their time to be with us yesterday from the day one of this event up until today, a blessed morning to all of you. Yesterday, we had a blast, a very fruitful discussion on a lot of salient topics on the maritime sector, particularly in these trying times of the pandemic. The vast effects of COVID-19, our recovery plans and future strategies, and the current situation of the Philippine maritime industry. Today, in the continuation of our symposium, we have a very interesting lineup of discussions, as well as our esteemed panel of speakers who will educate us today. By the way, the videos we've been watching earlier were some of the entries for the 2021 National Maritime Week Music Video Contest. The top 5 winning entries will be presented tomorrow during the National Maritime Week celebration. So to start our program, let us all be primed for today's event and be guided with the invocation to be led by Miss Kay Galindo.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of God. Almighty Father, we praise and thank you for this day. You have given us another opportunity to appreciate life and to fulfill our mission as your instruments of peace and progress. Please pardon us for our shortcomings. Help us to amend our impieties, and may we learn to pattern our lives through your Son's example. Bring healing to those who are sick with the virus, and be with their families. Strengthen and protect all medical professionals caring for the sick and all who work in our medical facilities. Father, bless all our endeavors, especially today's Maritime Industry Symposium. Guide us in our discussions. Enlighten our minds in every decision that we make. Bless our plans, programs, and projects so that we may achieve our objectives for your greater glory. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Miss Kay. At this juncture, we would like to convey our sincerest gratitude to all of our participants who actively joined us yesterday and still with us in this remarkable event today. We would like to acknowledge our guests. We have guests from the Department of Health. Also, we have guests from the Philippine Navy. We have guests from ALMA Maritime Group, the International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, and the Philippine Coastwise Shipping Association, and of course, a very lot more. I also see here from PNP Maritime Group. You can also chat in our chat box. Where were you from? The organizations you belong to, so that we can also acknowledge you. As of now, we have 151 participants here in our Zoom meeting. Thank you all for joining us today. And of course, to immortalize this event, may we request everyone to please join us in a photo session. We request all of our participants to please turn on your cameras and let us have a photo opportunity. Requesting our secretariat once again to lead us in the photo session, please. So we have 4 panels. Okay, so just keep on smiling until we finished all of our 4 panels. First panel, please. Keep smiling. Thank you so much. Okay, for our second panel, you can also take off your face mask once in a while. Okay, thank you. Third panel, please. And our last panel. Okay, thank you so much to our secretariat. So moving on to our program. Yesterday, we had a very orderly day 1 symposium. And now let us all be reminded of these house rules to keep our virtual event as organized as it may be. Let us welcome Dr. Jinky Mendoza for the presentation of our house rules.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Today is another exciting day to learn, but before we proceed to the forum proper, and in the interest of time and orderliness, we will be observing some house rules. Another new in this new normal, the online meeting or virtual meeting gathering etiquette. First, we will let the presenters and the reactors finish their lectures and their reaction before we will entertain questions. Please switch your microphones off in order to minimize any interruptions. For those who are with us in this Zoom conference, you may raise your questions through the chat box, while those who are tuned in via the FB Live, you may write your questions in the comments section. When writing questions, please indicate your affiliation and to whom the question is directed, if it is to the first presenter or the second. So, without further ado, we now proceed with the webinar proper. Eva?
Thank you so much, Miss Jinky Mendoza. And also, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our colleagues from the Philippine Coast Guard, also from the Department of Labor and Employment. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, Mom and Sir. And of course, it is truly an honor to introduce the message from none other than the very hardworking Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Secretary Arthur P. Tugade. Let us give him a warm virtual round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to everyone. Lahat po na nandito ngayon ay pamilyar at nakikita at na-experience ang crippling impact and disruption brought about by COVID-19 pandemic to the shipping and the maritime industries in particular. As we all know, the Philippines, being an archipelagic country, is heavily reliant on its supply chains, shipping systems, and seaports with its vast maritime network. Ibig sabihin, malaki ang ginagampanan ng industriyang ito sa araw-araw nating pamumuhay at ganun din ang ambag nito sa ating ekonomiya. Sa kabila ng malawak at malaking oportunidad na ibinibigay nito sa atin, we were not able to maximize this to aid the sector achieve its fullest potential. Kaya nga ba't bago tayo nanungkulan sa Departamento ng Transportasyon, ating masasabi na ang maritime industry was in shambles. It was in array. Maritime's hub have deteriorated. It was in a sad state, in a sorry state. Ating masasabi na kalunos-lunos ang kalagayan ng industriya. Isa sa mga sakit ng ulo noon sa aking pagkakatanda, ang ating mga seafarer ay talagang mapapakamot sa kanilang mga tuktok sa inip dahil linggo-linggo o buwan-buwan na pag-aantay para lamang makakuha ng seaman's book. Mantakin ninyo at talagang pambihira, pagkatagal-tagal na pag-aantay para lamang sa isang seaman's book. Bakit nangyayari yan? Bakit pinaparusahan ang ating gustong maglayag sa karagatan, pinag-aantay upang makakuha ng seaman's book? Ngayon po, marahil pwede natin tanungin ang ating sarili, nasaan tayo ngayon? Why did we strive to rise above and beyond these challenges in the maritime sector? Kung nakikita ninyo, malayo ang pagkakaiba ng maritime hubs noon at ngayon. Years of inattention have made it seem that progress is a hopeless case. Marami tayong inilunsad na pagbabago, and rightfully so. It is imperative that we deliver these services because we know that these benefits are far a greater cause and for a common good for the maritime sector. Kahit na sa gitna ng kinaharap nating pandemya, tayo ay naghahanap ng pamaraan upang mapagpatuloy ang hanap buhay ng ating bayani at frontliners sa ating mga karagatan, the Filipino Seafarers. Sila po ang mukha at mga kinatawan ng Pilipinas sa international shipping industry. Dapat lang po pabaunan natin sila ng alaga at kumpiyansa sa kanilang pagtahak at paglakbay sa karagatan. Milyon-milyon ang ating mga seafarers ayon sa datos. Umabot na sa 30% na kinabibilangan ng mga Pilipino ang bumubuo sa global maritime workforce upang may pagpatuloy ang episyenteng paggalaw ng basic commodities. Bukod pa dyan, ang ating mga bayani sa karagatan ay nakapag-remit, makinig ho kayo sa aking sasabihin, ng $6.3 billion para sa taong 2020. Imaginin mo kung susumat total ang mga kontribusyon na ginawa ng ating mga seafarers sa 3 taon na nakaraan. At kung lalagyan mo ng projection ang kanilang magiging kontribusyon sa 3 taon na darating, dapat lang pangalagaan ho natin ng ating mga seafarers. Dapat pabaunan natin sila ng kumpiyansa at comfort ika nga sa kanilang paghahanap buhay. Ang mga kadahilanan ito ay sapat na upang ating silang kilalanin. Tama, dapat sila'y kilalanin. Kaya naman para patuloy kanilang paghahanap buhay, ating binuksan ang tinatawag na crew change hub sa Port of Manila, Port of Capanpin sa Bataan, Subic Bay Freeport Zone, Port of Cebu, Port of Batangas at Port of Davao. Para naman sa mga aalis at uuwing seafarers sa Pilipinas, tayo ay nagtatag ng Philippine Green Lane upang mapabilis ang pagpasilitate ng papeles ng bawat seafarers sa kanilang pagdating o sa kanilang paglayag. Atin ding inilagay sa A1 category upang maging prioridad ng government vaccination program ang ating mga seafarers kung saan ngayon at sa araw na ito meron na ho tayong 90,000 na sa kanilang nababakunahan. Sa lawak ng karagatan sa ating bansa, kinakailangan nating ipatupad ang mga nararapat na estratehiya at reforma sa pagtugon sa sitwasyon upang maging madali ang sustainable recovery ng industriya at patuloy maiangat natin ang ating ekonomiya. The COVID-19 pandemic reminded us that this critical period is the greatest test of our determination and resolve. We have to draw upon our mettle to show our commitment to everyday excellence in the maritime industry. Kaya nga po, sa lahat ng mga stockholders na naririto ngayon, sasabihin ko, you all play important roles as vital enablers for the smooth functioning of the maritime supply chains as we navigate together towards a new normal. Yes, we must all come together as we pass through rough seas and keep the maritime sector moving forward certain, sure, and fast. To our Filipino seafarers, may you have fair winds and skies and following seas as you sail away. Sa inyong lahat, maraming salamat at mabuhay ang ating Filipino seafarers. Mabuhay ang Republika.
Thank you so much to our Honorable DOTR Secretary Arthur P. Tugade. We showed this video message yesterday and again for today since it is a really challenging and a very inspiring message from our dear secretary. So yesterday we had a very fruitful and a very productive discussion on a lot of topics such as logistics, transport and supply chain in the country, presented to us by ASEC Mary Jean Pacheco. Also, the domestic shipping and the promotion of maritime tourism by Miss Gina Esmania from the Department of Tourism. And lastly, the recovery initiatives for the country's shipbuilding and ship repair industry by Mr. Meneleo Carlos of the Shipyards Association of the Philippines. So now let us officially begin our day 2 of the Maritime Symposium. I will also be joined later on by Dr. Jinky Mendoza for the presentation of the reactors after each topic. So to present to us our first topic for today on the vaccination campaign for the Filipino seafarers, our speaker is a longtime executive from the sea-based recruitment industry. She obtained a degree in AB Mass Communications and is an honorary member of the Philippine Merchant Marine Academy Class 1990, a certified member of the Chartered Association of Business Administrators and Project Management Professional, a U.S. certified trainer of civil treatment and certified ISO Quality Assurance Internal Auditor. She began her career with TSM Shipping Incorporated in 1995 and implemented various tasks and responsibilities during her 12 and a half years of service. In 2007, she was appointed as president and chairman of the board of OSG Ship Management Manila Incorporated at the young age of 36. OSG Manila is the crew provider for OSG Ship Management Incorporated, based in the United States and was regarded as one of the largest tanker companies in the world. During her tenure in OSG, Her team deployed in the most number of full Filipino crew to a single tanker owner and initiated corporate social responsibility activities such as support for chronically ill children and typhoon victims, educational assistance, tree planting, coastal cleanup, waste segregation, among others. With her background in TSM and OSG, she developed her skills in leading and managing her team within a multicultural and diverse environment and prompted her to set up Blue Ocean Marine and Offshore Solutions in 2014. In addition to her office functions, she is the president of the ALMA Maritime Group Corporation and an active member of the technical working group of the Marina Vaccination for Seafarers, one-stop shop task group for managing returning overseas Filipinos, and one-stop shop Repat Smoking Working Group. So let me present to you, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker, the president of the ALMA Maritime Group, Miss Cristina Garcia.
Thank you very much, Eva. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am, loud and clear po.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, good morning to our beloved Marina Administrator, Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedrad, STCW Office Executive Director, Vice Admiral Rene Medina, Marina officers and staff, and to all the maritime stakeholders who are present here today during this symposium. I am Cristina Garcia, the President of ALMA Maritime Group, an association of 60 licensed manning agencies deploying 160,000 seafarers at any given time. We were formed last April 2021 and incorporated last September 2021. ALMA was established to create a network among crewing firms to aptly respond to the growing disparity in crew deployment and repatriation due to the pandemic. ALMA has actively participated in various government and private initiatives for the interest of our seafarers, our principals, and the Philippine maritime industry as a whole. We were part of the interagency working group on the prioritization of Filipino seafarers in the national COVID-19 vaccination program, and 10 of our members are a part of the Marina Technical Working Group for the vaccination of the Filipino seafarers. We take pride that our association's exceptional and invaluable contributions and efforts in promoting the welfare of our Filipino seafarers, especially during the pandemic, was recognized by Marina during the Day of the Seafarers last June 2021. I thank Marina for giving me the opportunity today to impart to you the issues and challenges as a member of the Marina TWG and as an LMA on accelerating the vaccination of our seafarers in this year's Maritime Industry Symposium. Next slide, please. On March 26, 2021, a joint statement was signed by the World Health Organization together with the International Labour Organization, the International Maritime Organization, and other UN bodies, urging all the UN member states to prioritize seafarers in their national COVID-19 vaccination programs. Even before the issuance of this joint statement, the ALMA Maritime Group, supported by various organizations involved in Philippine crewing, has written a request letter to President Rodrigo Duterte in February 2021 to prioritize the Filipino seafarers in its vaccination program. We manifested that Filipino seafarers, deemed as key workers who are vital to maintaining supply chains, are counted upon by the international shipping community to man ocean-going ships. They are thus responsible for carrying essential commodities all over the world. We further reiterated that as part of the international labor force, our seafarers compete with other nationalities who are being vaccinated by and in their respective countries for their suitability to work abroad. Sooner than later, vaccination will be mandatory for global travel. If our seafarers are not vaccinated, they will lose their employment opportunities to other nationalities to the detriment of their families, their communities, and the Filipino labor force in general. Thus, the early vaccination of our seafarers will ensure their welfare, their acceptability to be employed on board ships, and their continuous deployment overseas, as well as the stability of the Philippine crewing industry that largely contributes to the national economy. The Philippine government responded to these calls when seafarers' vaccination prioritization was jacked up from B5 for overseas Filipino workers and B3 for essential workers to A4 on April 11, 2021, through the efforts of the Interagency Working Group chaired by DOTR Assistant Secretary for Maritime Vice Admiral Narciso Vingson, with Vice Admiral Robert Empedrad as Vice Chair, together with DOLE, POEA, OWA, DOHBOQ, DFA MOAU, ALMA, JMG, FAME, and PAMAS as members. Our seafarers for deployment within 4 months were further reclassified to A1.8 on May 27, 2021, through the issuance of the IATF Resolution 117, following the manifestation of the Joint Manning Group, AMUSUP, and PSU during the Congress hearing of the Committee of Overseas Workers Affairs. Next slide, please. So why do we need to vaccinate our seafarers? With reference to the latest issuance of the International Chamber of Shipping's practical guide on the vaccination of seafarers, there are 3 main reasons why we need to do so. First, because seafarers travel across the world to different locations which have different levels of COVID-19 infection. Second, because COVID-19 vaccines reduce the severity of symptoms or prevent symptoms. And lastly, fully vaccinated people may also be exempted from or subject to a more relaxed quarantine restrictions and testing requirements for travel, and if they are a near contact of a confirmed case. Next slide, please. Inasmuch as the Philippine government recognizes the need to vaccinate our seafarers, the pre-implementation and implementation activities based on the DOH framework on vaccine deployment posted a lot of challenges, which the Marina TWG experienced in the past rollouts, specifically on the identification of vaccine, master listing and registration, and vaccine allocation. Issues and challenges. Next slide, please. As of September 17, there are 7 vaccines approved for use by the WHO, namely Moderna, approved in 72 countries, Pfizer, approved in 99 countries, Janssen, approved in 68 countries, AstraZeneca, approved in 121 countries, Covishield, approved in 45 countries, Sinopharm Beijing, approved in 64 countries, and finally Sinovac, approved in 40 countries. Next slide, please. On the other hand, Philippines has approved 10 vaccines as of September 17. Out of the 10 listed vaccine brands, we have Gamaleya, Sputnik Light, and Sputnik V, together with Bharat and Sinopharm, which are not WHO approved. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This chart shows us the number of vaccine doses that arrived in the Philippines as of August 21 by brand. We can see that for Sinovac, we have received 26.5 million. AstraZeneca is 9.43 million. Pfizer is 4.59 million. Moderna, 4.3 million. Johnson & Johnson, 3.24 million. Sinopharm is 1.1 million. And Gamaleya, 0.35 million. Considering that some countries have already declared approved vaccine brands in order for international seafarers to be exempted from quarantine or to be allowed entry to their respective borders, and quite a number of ship owners and charterers have already signified that they will only hire fully vaccinated seafarers with Western brands. Seafarers themselves would opt to choose WHO-approved Western brands, as this somewhat guarantees their redeployment. Furthermore, the availability of their preferred brands and the interval on administering the first and second dose are of great deciding factors. Looking at the table once again, we can say that Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson are the most feasible vaccines for the international seafarers, with J&J at the top of the list, being a single-dose vaccine and is acceptable in more than 60 countries. Sinovac and Sinopharm are unfortunately non-Western brands. Gamaleya is not on the WHO list, and AstraZeneca has 8 to 7 weeks interval in between the first and second dose. I hope that our government will not take it against our international seafarers for choosing vaccine brands, because this is slowly becoming to be a condition of employment. Next slide, please. The issues on vaccine brand preference, availability, and time interval of the first and second dose lead us to our challenge in master listing. The latest number of seafarers in the Marina base is now close to 900,000 seafarers spread out in all regions. This is a combination of active international and domestic seafarers and those who are no longer active or are not hired by manning agents yet. For the sake of the active international seafarers needing Western brands, let us assume that 300,000 are currently on board and 160,000 are in the Philippines awaiting for deployment in the next 4 months. That is an average of 40,000 seafarers to be deployed in a month. So far, the DOH provided almost 40,000 doses of Moderna and 15,000 doses of Pfizer for the Marina-initiated rollouts. We were also allocated 1,300 doses of J&J. If the seafarers have been vaccinated through their LGUs, vaccine brands are assumably all brands. Before any rollout takes place, the Marina TWG, together with our chairman, Captain Jeff Solon, would have a planning session to identify possible vaccination sites with a high concentration of seafarers throughout the country. After we have identified, we will decide on how much doses are to be requested from DOH and allocated to the specific vaccination sites. The planned allocation will then be presented to the Marina regional directors so that they can check with their respective LGUs and DOH Provincial Health Office if they have the capacity to store and if they are able to master list. If all are in order, we will present the planned allocation to Sir Bob Empedrad, and he will then request DOH to provide. that's actually making more kulit to Secretary Galvez, Dr. Cabotaje, and Dr. Sham, regardless of the time of day or night. Once we get a confirmation from DOH on the allocation and distribution schedule, we will start the master list. What we have to understand when master listing seafarers that this is totally dependent on the vaccine brand and schedule of the distribution and allocation. Before signing up, the seafarers would think, is this available brand acceptable by my employer? When will I be deployed? Will I still be here for the second dose? These factors are unique to OFWs in general because there are other parties to consider when deciding to get jobbed or not. Remembering that seafarers are located across the country and they may be called by their manning agents to Manila for document processing and eventual deployment. We have experience where seafarers were vaccinated by their LGUs and their manning agents are exerting a lot of efforts in looking for the same brand for their second dose in Manila. We have also been challenged when Marina requested the LMAs to submit line lists of their available seafarers for master listing. Unfortunately, most of them submitted unfiltered lists and did not even bother to check where the seafarers are and if they can actually show up during the vaccination schedule. When we did this process in the beginning, our success rate is a little over 50%. We have learned from this mistake and we have adjusted our process. We now have a ticketing system which is the brainchild of one of our TWG members, and this actually works better than relying heavily on the LMAs to submit line lists. Marina has also developed a digital portal for the purpose of seafarers registration wanting to get vaccinated and databasing of those who were vaccinated here and abroad. It was launched last month and a new version with a scheduler will be released soon. The Marina MISS team is really working very hard to make this work as per industry requirements. Once this is fully operational and correctly updated, Marina will have the capacity to provide reports and statistics to relevant government and international bodies. To date, we do not have an accurate report on how many seafarers, whether international or domestic, have been vaccinated here and abroad, and as to what vaccine brand. We cannot pull off this important data from the LGUs, not even from the ICT. With the Marina portal, these are all possible. We will also be able to move away from the ticketing system that we have now and rely only on the Marina portal for master listing. In our records, there are more than 30% of cases wherein seafarers did not show up for their second dose because they have already been deployed or are already in quarantine or they have returned to their provinces. This is something that we really have to address in preparation for the eventual mandatory requirement of receiving countries, ship owners, and charterers for fully vaccinated seafarers to man their ships. Suggested solution? DOH and VOC really has to look into allocating only Johnson & Johnson for our international seafarers, or at least look into the possibility of accepting J&J donations from our international maritime counterparts. If that happens, there is no doubt that we will increase the number of fully vaccinated international seafarers. With J&J, we can concentrate our vaccination program in NCR without the need to schedule and master list. That's all from me, and I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tina, for a very comprehensive discussion on the VAST campaign. for the vaccination of Filipino seafarers. Thank you, ma'am. And before we move on to our reactors, we would like to inform everyone. We would like to inform everyone that later on, after all our speakers, we will open our platform to answer a few questions, clarifications, and suggestions from our audience here in the Zoom meeting. We would also like to remind our participants to register in our attendance link found in the chat box where we can check for your feedbacks. So we also would like to acknowledge the presence of our colleagues from the Philippine Ports Authority and the Philippine Statistics Authority here in our Zoom meeting. And now let me introduce to you Dr. Jinky Mendoza for the presentation of our reactors.
Thank you very much, Eva. Let me introduce our first reactor. Her name rings a bell when it comes to giving sound medical advice. Her unique insights will inspire you to look into the familiar in new ways. She is presently the Medical Officer 3 and co-lead National Vaccination Operations Center Field Implementation and Coordination Team for NCR and Luzon for the Department of Health. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Kija Lorraine H. Rosario. Doctora, good morning po.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. In behalf of Undersecretary Mirna Cabatay, who heads the Field Implementation and Coordination Team, as well as the head of the National Vaccination Operations Center, we thank all of you for contributing to our vaccination campaign. So for the national COVID-19 vaccine deployment and vaccination program was launched last March 1, 2021, with the aim to vaccinate as many as 77 million individuals, and that includes also our OFWs, including our seafarers. And with that, that accounts for around 70% of the total population. As you know, our current rollout, since we have limited vaccine supplies in the country, our current rollout is being done by priority groups. No? So we know that the first priority of the country is really to ensure that its essential services in the health sector will be maintained to ensure that we can respond to the COVID-19 pandemic efficiently. That's why the priority 1 was given to the health workers across the country. However, with that, we already have included under priority group A1.8, the OFWs who are living in the country within 4 months. So it shows that our commitment to ensure that all those who requires vaccines will be given with vaccines for OFWs, including seafarers, before they leave the country. Currently, for our health workers, we are very thankful that we've reached already our goal to vaccinate at least 90% of our health workers fully vaccinated. Currently, we have already vaccinated 96.9% of our health workers fully vaccinated. With that commitment, we have already also vaccinated 117,113 individuals, OFWs. However, it is correct that the system of the Department of Health and the DICT collects the information as one holistic OFW. So we are glad that Marina is tracking the specific numbers for the seafarers. So looking at this scenario, based on our database, we have the numbers already vaccinated. Hopefully, with the mapping out of the vaccination of seafarers, then we can have a clear picture of how many are really vaccinated already and still to be vaccinated. As mentioned with the vaccination rollout, this is greatly impacted with the number of vaccines that arrive in the country. However, now we have very few. No, it's quite true that based on the vaccination of the Philippines, now we have selected vaccines, and most of the vaccines that we were able to deploy are that of Sinovac and other vaccines. For those that are really needed by the OFWs or the seafarers, such as the Moderna, we only have received 3 million doses for Moderna, and for Pfizer around 5 million. And for Janssen vaccines, we've only received 3 million as well. So it's quite hard not to distribute this, no? And with the limited supply, it's quite hard to ensure that on a daily basis we have enough supply of these vaccines, because what we do once the vaccines will arrive in the country, these are being deployed at once, no, to all of our vaccination sites to ensure that we can push for the vaccination immediately. So the assurance, if we have these brands of vaccines now for OFW is quite arbitrary depending on the vaccines that will arrive. However, now with the vaccine horizon that we have for the next 4 months, it's quite comforting that there are more Pfizer vaccines that will arrive in the country. We are estimating around 40 million will be arriving in the country. That includes the procured vaccines of the national government, and as well as the COVAX facility also committed to 10 million doses. So this will be divided as first and second doses. So looking into this, now there are a lot of Pfizer vaccines, and since we have also included the OFWs as part of the COVAX facility rollout, now as the WHO has also committed that some of these vaccines will go to OFWs, then they can be part of the vaccination rollout for those Pfizer vaccines from the COVAX facility. So when it comes also with the Janssen vaccines, we saw the preference of the seafarers and other OFWs for the Janssen vaccine, since it will only require 1 dose. We truly understand the need now for these types of vaccines, especially which are quite suitable for the rollout to seafarers. However, now we do not have any procurement for Janssen vaccines, and however, we are trying to negotiate with the COVAX facility. We have written the COVAX facility if they can assist us and provide us with a number of vaccines, with a number of Janssen vaccines. So hopefully their response will be positive in nature. We are still awaiting and doing some negotiations so that we can have those supply. Since that is not yet confirmed, I cannot yet say that we can also have another set of Janssen vaccines. Now, we know that these are much needed by the seafarers as well. So with that, we hope in the future months now we can vaccinate as many as possible. That includes all those who are requiring the valuable vaccines, including the seafarers who need it before their deployment across the globe. No? So it's quite important for us to address this concern, and we have set our priorities as well to include the seafarers in our vaccination rollout. In behalf of Secretary Galvez and the USAC Mayor Nakabutahi, we maintain our commitment to ensure that as much as possible, we also can prioritize you in the seafarers in our daily allocations, and in every delivery of COVID-19 vaccines, we have some allocations for the vaccination of seafarers across the country. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much. There we have it, our first topic presented to us by ALMA Maritime Group President, Ms. Tina Garcia, and a very comprehensive reaction from Ms. Lorraine Rosario of the Department of Health. I can see so many questions in our chat box, but let me remind everyone that we will have a perfect time for that later on, after all the discussion of our three topics for today. So moving on to our second topic, our next speaker was the program manager of the Maritime Piracy Humanitarian Response Program in Manila since 2013. He was responsible for managing the office and its operation in providing humanitarian assistance to maritime piracy survivors and their families. Since the services of MPHRP moved to ISWAN in 2015, he has represented the Philippines and other areas of Southeast Asia by managing ISWAN's welfare activities in the region and continuing to provide a wide range of assistance to seafarers with the assistance of the volunteer team that he directs. So ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you our second speaker, the Regional Director of International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, Mr. Renato Jun Pablo Jr. Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me to be one of the resource speaker of the symposium. And as our MC said, that I'm Mr. Jun Pablo, the Regional Director of ISWAN here in the Philippines and Southeast Asia as well. ISWAN is an international charity dedicated to the relief of need and hardship or distress among the seafarers of all nationalities, races, colors, and creeds, and irrespective of gender. We are a registered charity organization in the United Kingdom. For the past year, has given us as one of the most challenging events in human history. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly impacted all sectors of our society, most especially the seafarers who help run the global economy. Well, in fact, according to marinesight.com, that 90% of the world's food, fuel, raw materials, and manufactured goods are delivered by sea. So nearly all things sold worldwide are transported through ships, which needs skilled seafarers to operate or maintain and repair. By this, we can see how they play such a crucial part in the stability of the global economy. Sadly, because of this COVID-19 pandemic, we have a lot of seafarers who are stranded at sea, and up to 200,000 as of June 2021. According to the International Labour Organization, for seafarers who are unable to board a ship and earn for a living, and it's necessary to understand the challenges and hardship they are currently facing. Now, according to IMO has gathered around many testimonies of those who are stranded at sea. And here are some of these testimonies which I believe needs to be presented here. A certain Rafael, a 33-year-old seafarer from the Philippines, reported that he has been tired and exhausted after a year on board. He was supposed to be reunited with his wife and 2 children in April, but he could not be repatriated because of airport closures. When he gave his interview to IMO in July 2020, he had been at sea for 12 months without any shore leave and on a constant 12-hour shift. According to him, the ambience on board has been tense and stressful every day, describing the impacts of his extended time on board on his physical and mental health. Some of his colleagues have been on board for 13 to 14 months. He was finally repatriated in August 2020. Another is Matt, a 35-year-old chief engineer from the United Kingdom. He suffers from from anxiety of being stranded away from his loved ones. In July 2020 interview, he highlighted the difficulties of being away from his two children, aged 8 and 12. He and his colleagues had not been able to be repatriated despite their contracts being well overdue, as border closures and visa requirements have made crew changes impossible for them. They were sailing mainly in the Middle East and Asia, and most countries in this region have very strict regulations that make crew change near impossible. Describing the ambience on board as people being upbeat and then depressed the next day, he was finally able to return home in August and after 6 months at sea. On the other hand, Bikram from India, 33 years old, was unable to join his ship in the midst of the pandemic. He has been working as a seafarer for 11 years and was promoted as a second engineer. He has tried to join a ship to earn for his family and explained that the pandemic has brought financial uncertainty. The lack of assurance on who will be there to look after him in case of medical emergencies on board is also a cause of his anxiety. He pleaded that seafarers be recognized, helped, and supported because even when the world is currently at pause, there's one sector that has been working continuously under different conditions. These are just three among the many stories that we can hear from our seafarers regarding their experience as they face the effect of the COVID-19 in their workforce. We can see that the pandemic has brought so many hurdles to our seafarers who are stranded at sea. They were emotionally and physically exhausted. You see, the COVID-19 pandemic is more than just a humanitarian crisis. Guy Ryder, the International Labour Organization Director General, as well as other UN agencies, said that this unfortunate event is also a safety and an economic issue. It is a safety issue, for it may very well impact the marine environment. And it is also an economic issue, where seafarers can no longer continue working because they are demoralized and exhausted. And as a result, this could slow or stop trade and hinder economic recovery. I am not saying this because I just want to. There were studies conducted that showed the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the maritime industry, particularly to the seafarers. And according to the study of the World Maritime University, the majority of respondents reported serious impacts of the pandemic on crew changes and ship-shore interactions. Respondents' experiences varied with regard to the extent to which the pandemic had affected their employment, non-work life on board, and access to supplies. Almost half of the respondents reported an increase in workload in comparison to the workload prior to the pandemic. On average, respondents felt like less safe in port than at sea. The main difficulties and challenges reported by survey respondents concerned crew changes, ship-shore interactions, including lack of shore leave and difficulties in getting supplies. The situation on board, like high workload, fatigue, conflicts, tensions, and lack of information and support from the shipping company. There was a 50-50 split in responses between those who reported receiving a lot and enough support and those who did not. Main sources of support identified by respondents were shipping companies, family and friends at home, and the social media. And over 40% of the respondents indicated that they had experienced symptoms of depression several times, and almost every day or every day, whereas over half reported symptoms of anxiety. Moreover, an average respondents had explained symptoms of exhaustion because once and several times, that's their feeling. Feeling exhausted, tired, and having sleeping problems were most common and were experienced by overall half of the respondents several times. Now that these stories have been brought to light, there should be a strong call to action to recognize the sacrifices that seafarers have been made to keep the trade moving and therefore to ensure the continuity of global supply chains. And these are the immediate actions that the governments must take. And this is according to the ILO. First is designating seafarers as key workers, increasing their access to commercial flights, implementing protocols for safe crew changes, refraining from authorizing the extension of seafarers' employment agreements beyond the default maximum period of 11 months in accordance with the Maritime Labor Convention, of course. Facilitating diversions of ships to ports where crew changes can take place. Reviewing the necessity for national and or local restrictions that may continue to apply to the movement and travel of seafarers. We also put an emphasis on the recommendation for shipping companies according to the World Maritime University. Ensure that the right of every seafarer to a safe and secure workplace is upheld, including the implementation of effective protective measure and the provision of medical care. Another is ensure that viable repatriation plans are in place for timely crew changes that account for all eventualities. Another is provide transparent and up-to-date information about crew changes, international and national policies and regulation in ports of call, as well as up-to-date medical information on effective COVID-19 prevention and treatment. Another is provide free and fast, reliable internet on board for seafarers' personal use. Another is ensure that seafarers have access to essential supplies and support, including medical care and essential goods, as well as possibilities for shore leave. Ensure that mental health support is available to all crew members at all times, and provide training on mental health awareness and first aid to all seafarers. Another is ensure a holistic approach to managing and reducing the risk of fatigue at sea by implementing a fatigue risk management system as per the International Maritime Organization guidelines on fatigue. This is even more critical amid the COVID-19 pandemic, with seafarers spending more time at sea. Last is continue cooperation with seafarers representatives such as unions and welfare organizations to monitor seafarers' well-being and take appropriate action as necessary. In closing, I would like to say that we have a lot of resources in ICE1, which are free for the seafarers. They can be downloaded from our website, and they may be also, they can use the Seafarer Help. This is the ICE1's 24/7 helpline. Our resources are dedicated to combat depression and anxiety among seafarers. Still, I hope that through this symposium, all of us, stakeholders, will continue to proactively promote the resiliency of the maritime industry and design a framework for various initiatives to promote the overall health and safety of our beloved seafarers. With that saying, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay ang Marinong Pilipino.
Thank you very much po, Mr. Pablo, for that very informative presentation. And to give us the reaction on this particular topic, For the second time around, may we call on Dr. Kija Lorraine Rosario. Dr. Rosario? Dr. Rosario, are you still on board, ma'am? Okay, I think Dr. Rosario is having some technical difficulties at her end, so perhaps we will get back to her for another time. Okay, you may proceed for the next speaker.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jinky. So we will move on to our third speaker, the last but definitely not the least of our speakers for today. So for our third speaker, he specializes in the field of surface warfare, serving the Philippine Navy. Last year, he was the commander of the Anti-COVID-19 Task Group for the AFP Education, Training and Doctrine Command Unit. He was also awarded the Distinguished Navy Cross Meritorious Achievement Medals and numerous Gawad sa Kaunlaran Award, among many other commendations, all for his exemplary performance of service in the Navy. He was also involved in many disaster relief and rehabilitation operations, as well as received ribbons and medals for anti-dissidence campaigns for his active and actual participation in the law enforcement and military operations. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you our third speaker from the Philippine Navy, Captain Tirso L. Chavez. Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that very kind introduction. Ma'am, may I know if in case that I will just check my audio if it is audible?
Yes, sir.
How's
You
my...
are loud and clear po.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. We will be sharing our screen. Please allow us to share our screen. Thank you. Ma'am, may we know if it was already visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, ma'am. To the distinguished personalities attending this Maritime Industry Authority Symposium, my special mention to the Marina Administrator, the former Flag Officer in Command of the Philippine Navy, Vice Admiral Robert A. Pedrad, Philippine Navy retired, as well as the Executive Director of the Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping, Maritime Industry Authority, Vice Admiral Rene B. Medina, Philippine Navy retired. Good Navy morning to everyone. I am Captain Tirso L. Chavez, Philippine Navy General Staff 4, the Assistant Chief of Naval Forces Staff 4 Operation NF3, Naval Forces Western Mindanao, and for the next 15 minutes, I will be presenting to you the updates and way forward on the piracy and armed robbery at sea in the Western Mindanao waters. The presentation will cover the following scope as shown. The mission of the Philippine Navy is to organize, train, equip, maintain, develop, and deploy forces for the prompt and sustained naval and maritime operations to support the armed forces of the Philippines mission. Currently, the Philippine Navy is organized into two type commands, the Philippine Fleet and the Philippine Marine Corps. This command form the unique structure of the Philippine Naval Service of Fleet and Marine Force components, as well as combat support forces, support commands, general support and sustainment forces, and reserve force that are predominantly postured to successfully accomplish missions and tasks across the levels of war of conflict scenarios, prepare for intended and perceived engagement in times of peace and influence domestic and regional events favorable for national security through cooperation and interagency collaboration. The command is mandated to carry out three distinct and significant roles: the military, diplomatic, and constabulary roles. The military role involves the conduct of credible surface patrols and maritime air surveillance in the high seas and maritime areas of interest to establish naval presence and an effective command and control to sustain all deployed fleet and marine forces. The diplomatic role entails the conduct of combined operations at sea or training and exercise with allied navies to accomplish bilateral or regional objectives in a wide range of military and non-military diplomatic activities. These are designed to promote regional peace and stability and enhance maritime security operation. Lastly, the constabulary role, which involves in the employment of fleet marine forces in support to maritime law enforcement. Although the Philippine Navy is entrusted with expanded roles and missions in the full spectrum of military operations, naval defense continues to be its primary mission. These three essential tasks of the Philippine Navy that may be categorized under the constabulary role are internal security operations, disaster response, support to national development, and maritime security operations, in which the anti-piracy operations and prevention of armed robbery at sea belongs. Again, these are all conducted with the Philippine Navy as a supporting force in active collaboration with civilian agencies and non-government organizations to address a wide spectrum of challenges. For the updates and way forward, for the piracy and armed robbery at sea, the Philippine Navy intends to specifically focus for this briefing on the waters of Chavez Sea and Sulu Sea, all in Western Mindanao, since almost all of the piracy and armed robbery at sea with kidnapping occurred in these areas of the country. As defined by the on clause, piracy is defined as any illegal acts committed against another ship or aircraft or against person or property on board such ship or aircraft on the high seas, while the armed robbery is committed within the internal waters, archipelagic waters, and territorial sea. As a backgrounder, majority of the incident piracy and armed robbery at sea in the Philippines predominantly occurs in the Sulu Sea and Chavez Sea of Western Mindanao. It is because this area is a host of two important international archipelagic passages, which are Basilan Strait and Cebuto Passage. This particular area of the country is confronted with an assortment of distinct combination of threat groups, which include the Abu Sayyaf group, which often perpetrated the piracy and armed robbery. Cebuto Passage and Basilan Strait has an average density of 16,500 and 8,000 ships per year respectively that transit in these sea lines of communications and various types such as bulk carriers, general cargo vessels, container vessels, ro-ro vessels, liquid cargo ships, crude carriers, and local motor vessels that need to be secured in order to disrupt the regional economies and their economic activities. For a 5-year period from calendar year 2016 to 2020 up to the present year, a total of 18 incidents of piracy and armed robbery, mostly with kidnapping, that occurred at the waters of Western Mindanao. Moving on, the succeeding slides will now show the location as well as the frequency of piracy and armed robbery at sea incidents. This slide shows the incident of calendar year 2016. Still in year 2016, having a total of 11 successful piracy and armed robbery at sea incidents. In 2017, there are 4 successful and 2 foiled incidents. Moving forward, while in 2018, there was one-fourth incident of armed robbery. With this, shown in the slide is the 6-year trend of the piracy and armed robbery at sea in Western Mindanao. It is notable that since 2019 to present, there is no recorded incident of piracy and armed robbery that occurs in Western Mindanao. However, there are 2 recorded incidents of armed robbery at sea last 2019 and 1 incident last 2020, but this all occurred within the waters of Sabah, Malaysia. So, what does the Philippine Navy through Naval Forces Western Mindanao have done to curb the piracy and armed robbery in this particular area of the country? With the increasing incidents of piracy in 2016, the Philippine Navy, through the Naval Forces Western Mindanao, during the leadership of the then former NAPORWEM Vice Admiral Renato B. Medina, Philippine Navy retired, carefully conducted a general analysis on the concept on how the piracy, especially kidnapping and armed robbery at sea, were being conducted. Shown in the slide is the TTPs of the ASG in conducting its piracy and kidnapping activities. First, the ASG will determine the probable. The Abu Sayyaf group will depart from the location of the core group, Island C, as a staging area, or they would designate a staging area, Island B, near the probable place of abduction. Moreover, the staging area near the place of abduction also served as the refueling area of the ASG watercraft. In this area is most likely a known Abu Sayyaf group supporter and or sympathizer. And lastly, after the abduction, the Abu Sayyaf group will withdraw, passing through the refueling area prior proceeding towards the mainland Sulu and hand over the kidnapped victims to the Abu Sayyaf core group. Also, the Philippine Navy had carefully studied on how the ASD KFRG Seacrafts approach the targeted vessel. As shown, first, 2 ASD KFRG Seacraft A and B will approach perpendicular to the target vessel. Then, ESG KFRG Seacraft B will position in front of target vessel to stop, while ESG KFRG Seacraft A will board target vessel. Thereafter, ESG KFRG Seacraft B will encircle target vessel and subsequently boarded the vessel. Moving forward, another approach is that 2 ASD KFRG Seacrafts A and B will approach at the rear portion of the target vessel. Then ESD KFRG Seacraft A will tug on the side portion of target vessel, while the ESD KFRG Seacraft B will tug on at the opposite side and both will immediately board the target vessel. Moving forward, shown in the slide, depicted in the red dotted line is the traditional routes of the ESG kidnap ransom group. Kidnap victims are always brought to Sulu while ransom negotiations are being carried out. Moving on, the common targets for piracy and armed robbery are slow-moving and low-reward vessels, where the perpetrators can easily conduct the boarding, robbery, and eventually kidnapping procedure. With the worsening situation of kidnapping incidents, Western Mindanao Command established campaign plan ng Kasanyangan that calls for a need to prioritize efforts in conducting deliberate, continuous, and successful operations to neutralize lawless elements and to have decisive results against the Abu Sayyaf group. To align this effort, the Philippine Navy, through its naval forces in Western Mindanao, during the time of Vice Admiral Renato B. Medina as the commander of Naval Forces Western Mindanao, came up with the NAPORWEM Campaign Plan Malinawan that supplements the Western Mindanao Command Campaign Plan, giving more emphasis on providing the employing naval forces through the naval task groups attached to the Joint Task Forces of Western Mindanao Command to defeat the Abu Sayyaf group and eradicate its atrocities and piratical activities. As established in the campaign plan Malinawon, Naval Forces Western Mindanao was able to reconfigure its Naval Task Force 61 to serve as a quick reaction force to respond on any joint task forces requirements. Although, also, through Naval Task Force 61, Naval Forces Western Mindanao was able to conduct special operations tagged as coastal cleanup in the coastal areas to deny presence of the enemy, as well as to engage people to gather information and provide physical presence thereon. Naval Forces Western Mindanao has identified and constantly monitoring the critical areas where acts of terrorism, including piracy and armed robbery at sea, predominantly carried out. These are the areas within the western seaboard of Zamboanga Peninsula, particularly Sibuco, Sirawai, Siocon in Baligyan, the Basilan Strait, the Cebuto Passage, the Moro Gulf, the surrounding waters of Sulu, in the border areas between Malaysia and in Indonesia. Naval Forces Western Mindanao continuously supports Western Mindanao Command by providing naval capabilities to its joint task forces. It deploys and employs its fleet and marine assets to effectively control the choke points in the joint area of operation, securing passages of vessels, both foreign and domestics. Moreover, the Philippine Navy, through its Philippine Marine Corps components, had also established several marine detachments to deny the Abu Sayyaf group, kidnap ransom groups from establishing logistics hubs or monitoring stations in areas, especially in the areas adjacent to the Cebuto Strait. With the Naval Task Group Tawi-Tawi as the naval component of the Joint Task Force Tawi-Tawi and supplemented by the naval assets of Naval Task Force 61 of Naval Forces Western Mindanao, the Philippine Navy was able to ensure effective and sustained presence in the critical areas in the borders of Malaysia and Indonesia. Also, with the missile capability acquired by the 3 boat attacks of 3rd Boat Attack Division, the Philippine Navy made sure that these assets were deployed on strategic areas of Western Mindanao that best suits its new capabilities. The Philippine Navy also ensured that 24/7 operability of its 7 littoral monitoring stations that guaranteed monitoring of all transiting vessels and developed common operating pictures. Likewise, fishing vessels are common targets for armed robbery. As additional effort coming from the Naval Service to address this problem, the Philippine Navy, through Naval Forces Western Mindanao, had established target hardening through the sustain of one special CAPGO Active Auxiliary Squadron with 5 companies from 14 fishing corporations. Apparently, the command had trained 459 men and issued a total of 339 firearms. Other than the domestic initiated countermeasures, the Philippine government, through its Department of National Defense, entered into a framework on the Trilateral Cooperative Agreement with neighboring countries of Malaysia and Indonesia, which aims to address security issues in the maritime areas of common concern. Also, before the pandemic, the yearly conduct of PNRAN, maritime training activity in the areas of Western Mindanao, complemented the operations of Joint Task Forces of Western Mindanao Command. In terms of maritime patrols, while cross-training were carried out both by Philippine Navy and the Royal Australian Navy in Western Mindanao area of operation. For the assessment, since 2017, there was a steady decline in the number of piracy and armed robbery at sea incidents. From 2019 up to the present, there were no reported piracy and armed robbery at sea at Western Mindanao. Second, the reconfigurations of Naval Task Force 61 into a quick reaction force made it possible for the Naval Forces Western Mindanao to employ naval force in its capabilities to promptly respond to reported incidents. Third, the identification and constant monitoring of identified critical areas help Naval Forces Western Mindanao rationalize its deployment to fleet assets, giving priority to increasing its patrols and surveillance of identified critical areas. Fourth, establishment of marine detachment on known staging areas and possible logistic hubs restricted the movement of Abu Sayyaf groups to conduct piracy. Fifth, the employment and sustainment of SCAA as force multipliers in the conduct of the security operations in the vast and porous water of Western Mindanao greatly boosted the capability of Naval Forces Western Mindanao to prevent piracy and armed robbery at sea. Six, the 24/7 operability of the 7 littoral monitoring stations significantly provided effective monitoring of transiting foreign and domestic vessels. Seven, the trilateral maritime and routine air patrols conducted in accordance with the trilateral cooperative arrangement provisions supported the security operations and contributed to the deterrence of illegal activities at sea due to additional assets from regional navies conducting coordinated patrols and training activities. Although piracy and robbery at sea incident have become nil, future piracies and other terroristic activities cannot be discounted. The Abu Sayyaf group and kidnapper ransom group will likely find an opportune time to conduct piracy and armed robbery in areas that are unsecured. The Philippine Navy had proposed for 3 more additional littoral monitoring stations, specifically in Panguan Island, Fairbank, and Olotanga. This is to fill the gaps and widen the coverage of monitoring capability of the Navy in Western Mindanao area. The completion of MCC in Tawi-Tawi will establish 24/7 connectivity with Maritime Command Center Tawau in Malaysia and Tarakan in Indonesia, along with the required connectivity with ships, aircrafts, and stations involved in trilateral cooperative arrangement. These MCCs will allow prompt coordination with the tri-countries in addressing security issues in the maritime areas of common concern. That ends my presentation, sir. I am now ready to answer your question.
Thank you so much, Captain Tirso L. Chavez, sir.
Oh, I
So
think.
now for our
Oops, Miss Eva, I think you're having some technicalities problem with your audio. Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful presentation. And with that, we have to move on with our reactor. And our reactor is known for his superior achievements, evidence of which were the various awards and medals that he had received way back from 2009 to 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, to react on the topic piracy and armed robbery at sea in Philippine waters, updates and way forward, ladies and gentlemen, Commander Benjamin G. Formentos Jr. Sir, take it away.
Yes, good morning to everybody. Firstly, I would like to thank Captain Chavez, sir, for his comprehensive presentation on piracy and armed robbery. The Philippine Coast Guard believes that the decline of piracy incidents in the tri-border area is a product of the government's whole-of-nation approach, which utilize various modalities, including but not limited to robust cooperation with local and international partners, procurement and modernization of operational assets, and infra development, among others. Continuous effort to crack down these terrorist groups, most especially the Abu Sayyaf affiliated individuals, who have been identified as perpetrators of the piracy attacks in Sulu Archipelago have greatly contributed to the improved security architecture in the southern Philippines. As one of the lead maritime agencies, the Philippine Coast Guard implements various policies to guarantee a safe and secure maritime environment. In view of the threat of piracy and terrorism in the Philippine waters, the Department of Transportation, the OTR, in which the PCG is part of, issued a Memorandum Circular 2017-001 on the Safety, Security, and Environmental Numbering System for all Philippine registered vessels and watercraft. This SSEN, which is being administered by the PCG, is the designation of a unique identification numbering system for each vessels plying the areas or watercrafts in order to enhance maritime security and safety within the Philippine maritime domains, particularly in the Sulu-Celebes Sea. As for the threat to shipping, a Memorandum Circular in 2017-002 was also issued that led to the establishment of a transit corridor at Moro Gulf and Basilan Strait. The circular outlined recommended transit corridors and measures to prevent or suppress acts of piracy and armed robbery against ships transiting the said maritime areas, and also to guarantee an unimpeded communication with seafarers. A Memorandum Circular 2017-003, wherein a prescribed radio communication equipment on board Philippine registered vessels, and a Memorandum Circular 2017-004, wherein the guidelines for the designation of a VHF marine band frequency were also issued by the DOTR. As for the infrastructure development, there has been continuous construction of radio stations in various strategic areas of the country. These radio stations are projected to boost the PCG's maritime surveillance capabilities in order to address and counter several maritime threats, most especially piracy, armed robbery, and maritime terrorism. The Sibuto radar stations and Rio Hondo radar stations are now in full operational status and have been consistently monitoring all foreign and local merchant vessels which transit the area on a 24/7 basis. The PCG continuously engaged with local counterparts to address various maritime crimes. The PCG has forged 2 memorandum undertakings for cooperation, one with the Philippine Navy and other with the Philippine Army, which both aims to improve interoperability of the Coast Guard with the 2 major services commands of the AFP. Likewise, the PCG is also an active member of the Joint Task Force Sulu, which along with the AFP are engaged in intensified ground operations against the Abu Sayyaf and other insurgents. Consistent with the government's whole-of-nation approach towards peace and security, the AFP-PNP-PCG tripartite agreement was officially adopted by the 3 agencies through resolution number 11/2021, which include the PCG in the Joint Peace and Security Coordinating Center. This tripartite mechanism is a product of a collective desire of the said agencies to enhance the level of interoperability, coordination, and cooperations against terrorism and insurgency. To assist in the efforts of the AFP and PNP, the PCG also conducts regular patrols in the southern part of the Philippines, particularly Sambasulta area, in support to the National Task Force LCAC or the NTF LCAC. On another note, the PCG, as a focal point to the Regional Cooperation Agreement on combating piracy and armed robbery against ships in Asia, or RCAAP, has been in the forefront of the country's anti-piracy and sea robbery efforts. The PCG acts as the point of information exchange between the Philippine government and the CAP information sharing system. And we also facilitate law enforcement investigations and coordinate surveillance enforcement for piracy and armed robbery with neighboring focal points in the region. Since the advent of the pandemic, the PCG and the CAP ISC observed some changes on the locations of incidents in robberies. From the period of January to August 2021, a total of 10 sea robbery incidents were monitored in the Philippine waters. Majority of these transpired in Manila Anchorage area, wherein there are 8 incidents. Meanwhile, while there was a relative low number of cases in Mindanao area, 1 sea robbery incident transpired in General Santos, and 1 attempted robbery was reported in Tawi-Tawi. This entails that while the situation in the Cebu-Celebes Sea improved significantly, incidents in Manila Anchorage area have increased. However, I would like to emphasize that while there was an evident increase in the number of incidents in the Manila Bay, the severity of these cases remains low at low level, as these incidents are mostly petty thefts on board the target vessels. The Philippine government has embodied a whole-of-nation approach in combating these transnational crimes, and this approach allows several agencies to share good practices and overcome operational limitations by joining forces with each other. National and regional platforms for cooperation were also being possible for the establishment of the National Task Force LCAC, the NCWC, the PCTC, and all others. Nevertheless, there is a dire need to improve enforcement and prosecution of criminals. Likewise, addressing poverty and other underlying socioeconomic issues should be prioritized to discourage people from engaging in these illicit acts. Well, ma'am, that ends my reaction. Thank you very much po, and good morning to all.
Thank you very much, sir, for your reaction. But before we proceed to another reactor, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our dear Administrator, Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedrad, and also our Executive Director of the STCW Office, Vice Admiral Rene Medina. Good morning po. To move on, let's have our second reactor for the topic Piracy and Armed Robbery at Sea in Philippine Waters, Updates and Way Forward. Our reactor always mark his work with excellence. He is the current administrator of the Philippine Coastwise Shipping Association. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mr. Edgardo Nicolas, sir. Okay. I believe that Mr. Edgardo Nicolas is also having problems with his audio. And okay, let's go back na lang po sa topic. The one with okay. Let's proceed to another reactor. None other than Mr. Paul Rodriguez of the Philippine Coastwise Shipping Association. Sir Paul?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the Western Mindanao Command for having a very quick action and successful rescue of our pirated vessel in 2017. I believe that the reaction of the Task Force Western Mindanao is really very exemplary, and that was at that time headed by the former commander, General Chavez, who is now the task force for head for the COVID-19 IATF. Yes, I believe that with a personal experience of having our ship's officer being abducted by Abu Sayyaf and successfully recovered by the Western Mindanao Command because of the timeliness of the response. We are really grateful for that. And just a point of maybe added input to based on our experience that the Abu Sayyaf pirates normally attack vessels that are in the area of Moro Gulf where there are no cell sites. So tendency is they know that the crew cannot ask for rescue or assistance from the Philippine forces or Navy. But luckily, our ships were equipped with satellite phones. So while the Abu Sayyaf took away our radios and other communication equipment, secretly our other crew who hid on board our vessels was successfully able to communicate through satellite phones to our head office, and we were able to report the incident immediately. So before the Abu Sayyaf could reach their hideaway, the attack helicopters of the Philippine Navy came into the rescue. And although they were successfully able to abduct our ship officers, but in a matter of 5 or 7 days, they were released by the abductors because of the hot pursuit by the military. So it was on a 24/7 hot pursuit. So finally, the Abu Sayyaf gave away, surrendered our crew to let them go without any ransom. So I salute to our task force, the Western Mindanao Command, for very, very efficient operation. That's all that I can share for now. And I believe that with the downtrend, or I would say 0 cases after 2019, it is a success that this intervention was made. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Paul, for your reaction. Okay. We believe that you are all excited to become a part of the open forum. But before that, let's give way to the reaction on the topic accelerating the vaccination of Filipino seafarers, issues and challenges. And to give that reaction, may we call on the energetic Deputy Executive Director of the STCW office, known also as the Marinas Vaccine Czar. Let's welcome Captain Jeffrey Salot. Sir?
Thank you, Ms. Jinky, for that very brief vaccine introduction. To the Vice Admiral Robert M. Pedraza, our administrator, the Deputy Executive, the Executive Director of the STCW, Vice Admiral Medina, sir, and to the Deputy Administrators, Nanette Dinopol and Attorney Gintia, and to all participants and guests and the stakeholders who also attended in this symposium, the warmest good morning or good noon to everyone coming from the Cebu Marina office where I am presently at. Chike, I just would like to confirm that my reaction will be more on the stranded seafarers rather than the vaccination, because I think the vaccination was clearly laid out by Ms. Tina Garcia already, and I cannot comment or react further.
Okay, sir. You may react on the stranded seafarers at sea, impact on health and safety of navigation.
Yes. Before that, before I give my reaction, may I share a video for a case of stranded seafarers? Can I share the screen?
Sir, you may now share po. Pwede na po kayo mag-share.
Right.
Hello, Mark.
Cap, I think
Yeah.
we are having an audio problem because we can't really hear the audio of the video presentation, sir.
Sorry, there was no audio, I believe.
Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. I don't know how to this one, but it's full on my on the monitor. What is that? Anyway, hello, Mike.
We would like to remind everyone to please keep our microphones off, especially during our reactors and the speakers. Okay, thank you so much. Captain Jeff, as you were saying.
Yeah, sorry about it, of that technical glitch, but you can actually view that one in Facebook. That was provided to me by one of the media personnel. But that particular incident actually was already referred to TUA and to DFA. And in fact, DFA had already acted on this, and they have sent some help package on board, like food, hygiene kit, and other things that the mental stage of our seafarers. That is a fishing vessel that are stranded in China, and they were not allowed to sign off. So they are already being on board for more than almost 2 years already on board. And although the manning agency had exerted all efforts for them to be able to be relieved, but unfortunately the local government in China did not allow it. So until now, the negotiation has been ongoing, and that the government is exerting a lot of effort in order for this crew to be repatriated. In Marina, as we all know, that our capacity is only to certify our seafarers, and but we do receive a lot of complaints and asking for our help for them to be able to be repatriated. So we can really imagine the mental stage of the stranded seafarers. Now, the effect, okay, the effect of these seafarers that being stranded is not only to the seafarers itself, but it is also cascaded down to their respective families. The family are worried, the family are calling the manning agency, the family are calling us, asking for help. So meaning we are also stressed out on how to address these issues. So if it's only one or two, however, this is actually a lot of complaints that we have received that are already overstaying, and the recent survey that we have conducted is close to about 10,000 seafarers are already overdue or had stayed longer than their signed contract. So there are a lot of things that that has been considered, like for example, the reduced capacity on the inbound passengers. These are one aspect that made the seafarers being overstaying. And then aside from the ports that are being closed for crew change, these are also other issues that has to be addressed by the manning agencies. The issue here also is that the agency, the manning agency or the LMAs as we call it, are also stressed out. So people or the seafarers and the family are complaining already because, as what they have mentioned, that they are being abandoned and the manning agency are not doing anything, this is actually all wrong. We have called the manning agency. In fact, manning agencies are already also crying on how to address this issue. So this is, in order to address this issue, this is actually a joint effort between the government side, particularly, of course, the DFA, who listens to the manning agency, and thus all you know, they pull all the resources in coordination with the respective consular offices for them to be able to get the seafarers out of the vessels and then having them replaced. So the threat of stranded on board is a very serious threat. So we need to, my advice to the manning agency is that the constant communication between the manning agency and the seafarers and the seafarers family is very vital, because if the manning agency will keep quiet, and the whole process will be sort of in a collapse. The communication aspect will collapse, and then they will think that they are being abandoned. So that's my advice to all manning agencies. And in fact, also, if there are seafarers who are also listening here, as we all know that the social media is a lot faster now, and all situations reach to the family first before it reaches to the concerned manning agency. So keep your communication open always, and this is the only way that we'll be able to help our seafarers not to lose their minds on board. That's my reaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Captain Jeffrey Solon, sir. But before anything else, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the captain of the Marina ship, Administrator Robert Empedrad. Sir, thank you for being with us today in the Zoom meeting po. Okay. So at this part of our program, we would like to open our platform for a few questions. And in the interest of time, you may type it in our chat box, unmute your microphones to directly and to direct to whom you refer your question to. So far, we have received so many questions. I will be joined. We will facilitate our question and answer. I will be joined by my co-host, Dr. Jinky Mendoza.
Yes, Eva, we have a lot of questions at the chat box, so let me read one of them. Wait lang po. Is there, this is the first question, is there a plan from BOQ to vaccinate international and domestic vessels crew on board when docked in the Philippine ports? This is from Captain Ed Diduro, CF Sharp. Who can answer for this question? Is there a plan from, I think this is Bureau of Quarantine, to vaccinate international and domestic vessels crew on board when docked in Philippine ports?
Do we have the BOQ here? If not, I can answer.
Sir, we don't have any representative coming from BOQ.
Okay, let me answer that one. For the domestic seafarers, we are already, we have vaccinated a lot of seafarers already, and I think this is more than 10,000 already, as per our latest record. And for the international seafarers, that would be a very good idea, since other nations are actually vaccinating Filipino seafarers when they arrive at certain ports. Here, our problem now is the supply of the vaccine. So before we will vaccinate foreign seafarers, we need to vaccinate first our very own seafarers. So once our seafarers are fully vaccinated, all are vaccinated, and we have the supply, if the supply is plenty, then by all means we'll be able to vaccinate all foreign seafarers who arrive in our ports. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Captain Solon. I think this is a follow-up question with regard to vaccination. Can Marina assist prioritizing Johnson & Johnson for domestic seafarers and further explore having this administered on board vessels? Can Marina assist prioritizing Johnson & Johnson for domestic seafarers and further explore having this administered on board vessels? This is a question coming from HSTC Peter Wong. Sir?
He is asking for domestic seafarers, right?
Opo, opo.
Yeah. The marching order of our administrator actually is to, as much as possible, that we will ask from the DOH the one-dose vaccine. In this particular, this is Johnson & Johnson in particular brand. However, J&J actually is not plenty, and I think the last time that we have, if I am not mistaken, the DOH is here. The J&J received was through a donation. So I am not sure if they had purchased a J&J now, but Marina has very consistent in requesting for a one-dose vaccine. And as to vaccinating our seafarers in the domestic side on board, we don't have that capacity yet, because the handling of vaccine actually is quite very technical in nature, that they need to have a proper storage and a proper, properly trained people to go on board. So, but according to Yusek Kabutahe, during our last meeting, they are also looking into that, and probably in a matter of time, this can happen. But as of now, it's not possible.
Thank you very much po, Captain Solon. Another question coming from Stella Marie's Manila, a growing concern among seafarers in our dorms, which vaccination card is accepted internationally? Sir?
Can you repeat the question?
Which vaccination card is accepted internationally?
The vaccination card issued by the LGU, this vaccination card has to be presented to the BOQ. So there are numbers of BOQ offices that issues the International Certification of Vaccine, or the ICV. That can they are going to issue that one. That's a yellow card. It's a passport type where they can have it. Where they can request for the issuance of it and then transfer all the details into that particular card. That's a WHO approved type of vaccination card. It's a yellow card, and that is at present is the acceptable vaccination card that has to be presented if you travel abroad.
Okay, Captain Solon, thank you for that answer. Miss Eva?
Yes po, Dr. Jinky. We would also like to acknowledge the presence, of course, of our Marina Deputy Administrator for Planning, Attorney Jean Verpia, and also the Marina Directors, the Regional Directors that are with us here today. Thank you so much po. So in continuation of our question and answer, we have another question here from Sir Roy Alampay of FSA JMG. As per him, just to clarify, the seafarers to be vaccinated after they are released. Also, this is not more of a question. I guess I would like to entertain a raising hand from our participant. We have a raised hand from Sir Job Espares. Sir Job?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Thank you. So this is just a follow-up question with regards to, actually, this is not really a question. Parang information lang, and we hope Cap Jeffrey can help us. Just to inform the group, last August 23, 24, and 25, by the way, I'm part of the domestic shipping group. Our company decided to have our own vaccination in Batangas. It was our own vaccines provided by the company. So everything was communicated, including Marina, kasabay namin yung Marina Batangas. So okay lahat. We are expecting to vaccinate at least 700 crew from our group. However, during the first day of vaccination, medyo nagkaroon kami ng problema sa PPA. And the worst, kinabukasan, second day, August 24, ay ayaw nang pababain yung mga crew namin. Our vessels are trading. So nandun lang sila sa port for several hours, and we are aiming na during that port stay ay mapababa namin sila at mabakunahan. Just to inform the group, nagkakaroon kami ng vaccination drive. Some are hindi naman sa sarili naming bakuna sa Marina ito, sa CDO, especially sa Manila, Cebu, and some other areas. Pero dito sa Batangas specifically, nagkaroon kami ng problema sa PPA. Though nagkaroon na kami ng communication, but during the actual vaccination day, ayaw nang pababain yung mga crew namin. Nandun na sila, nakasakay na sa ano namin, sa service ng company, para dalhin lang from Batangas port, papunta doon sa vaccination area sa Batangas Provincial Capital. Ang iba ay nag-stay ng 2 hours sa sasakyan para lang pagbigyan na makalabas sa pier, pero ayaw talaga. So worst ang ginawa namin, inangkla namin yung barko, pinull out sa pier, at pinagbangka namin yung mga crew namin. Ang point ko lang dito, the company is trying their best to support the vaccination drive of the government dahil kulang tayo sa bakuna. So nagkaroon na kami ng sariling bakuna at to be honest, nag-donate pa nga kami. Kaya nga pinagbigyan kami ng government ng Batangas, provincial government, because if I'm not mistaken, around 300 doses will be given to the government. At yun din yung sa Marina, yung ibang gustong company na sumabay, bahala si Marina magsabi, sige, you can go with us. So ang point ko lang dito, bakit kailangan pahirapan kami specifically, sorry to say, yung PPA ang ayaw magpalabas ng mga crew namin. Walang gagawin yung crew, dadalhin sa vaccination area, after the vaccination, ibabalik namin, pero ayaw kaming palabasin. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, ginagawa namin ito sa Manila, sa Amosuc, sa Cebu, sa Cagayan de Oro, and all other ports. Pero wala kaming naging aberya. Yung mga ports na una kong nabanggit, hindi sarili namin ang bakuna. So dito sa Batangas, na sarili pa namin yung bakuna, ayaw kaming palabasin. And during the second day, if I'm not mistaken, or third day, nag-meeting sila at nag-create ng bagong rules, ang daming gagawin, hindi naman namin agad makukomply. Ang point ko lang, Sir Capt. Jeffrey, I hope medyo may paliwanag natin sa mga nasa PPA or kung sino man ang nandyan sa ports na palabasin naman natin yung crew na magpapabakuna. Wala naman silang gagawin. And we are fully responsible na hindi talaga sila lalabas at kung saan pupunta kundi sa vaccination area lang. So yun lang sa akin, sir. Thank you very much. I hope you can help us. Thank you.
Thank you for that job. That issue actually I am very much aware, and our administrator is also very much aware of that. At natugunan na po yan, natugunan na po yan through the efforts of our administrator. Ang kinausap natin yan yung PPA Manila at saka PPA Batangas. During that time kasi I think MECQ ata yung Batangas. ECQ ata yung Batangas. So there was an LGU memorandum na walang crew change sa Batangas at walang walang sa domestic walang crew change kasi nga they just really wanted to prevent COVID to enter into Batangas LGU or the community. Hindi naman yun actually yung sa PPA. So nagkakaroon lang talaga ng misunderstanding dyan. And then later on, after a series of discussion, inalaw na po natin yan. Inalaw na po ng PPA yan, provided na nakabubble yung inyong seafarers. Ibig sabihin, bababa sila, pipick upin sila ng sasakyan, hindi sila aalis. Pupunta sila sa vaccination site, babakunahan at ibabalik din sa barko. Kumbaga walang shore leave. Okay, walang shore leave kasi at that time kasi ang inaalaw lang natin talagang bumaba diyan sa mga lugar na nagkaroon ng ECQ, yung cook o kung sino man yung in charge na bumili ng pagkain ng mga crew, sila lang yung inaalaw. Kaso lang strictly monitored. So we do really apologize for that inconvenience. Palagay ko nga ngayon naman hindi na ganyan ngayon yan. Should you encounter the same, please do let us know. We will inform our regional director also, who is very active in rolling out the vaccination drive of Marina through the supply coming from the DOH. Yun bang bakuna na ibinigay sa inyo, yung bakuna na dinonate ninyo, anong brand yun pa? May tanong ko lang, sir.
AstraZeneca, sir. So we are going to have the second dose by November 23, 24, and 25 again. And we hope na wala na siyang aberya, sir. AstraZeneca.
Yeah. So are you from Magsaysay?
From Chelsea, sir.
From Chelsea, okay. All right. So should there any be issues, please do let us know. And I would like to take this opportunity as well that we have available vaccine donated from Magsaysay. It's AstraZeneca. Baka mayroong gustong magpabakuna sa mga domestic seafarers, that would be available vaccination natin by Monday. So please do coordinate with us. AstraZeneca din yan. And we will make sure that you will be allowed to disembark. Just coordinate with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Nagkaroon lang kasi kami ng comparison because some of our crew are from Calaca, Batangas, from Balayan. Some are from other shipyards, even from Lucena. So nakarating na doon sa vaccination center yung malalayo namin. However, itong 5 minutes away from the pier to the Batangas provincial capital ay hindi talaga makalabas. So yun, sir,
Yeah.
we hope that during the second dose, everything will be smoothly. Thank you, sir. And for sure, we will support the vaccination drive, and our aim is to have 100% vaccinated crew ng mga domestic namin. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I will alert our regional office dyan sa Batangas. During that time kasi diyan din yung yung panahon na yun, yan din yung pumutok din yung Delta variant. Kaya nagkaroon lang ng extra effort na hindi sila mapasukan ng ganung klaseng variant. Thank you for understanding, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, pwedeng second question?
Yes, please.
Sir, ano lang to, this is not about vaccination, pero nandito na rin kayo. Tanong ko lang, sir, itong Marine Advisory 2021-29, talking about the extension of the COPs, COCs, and everything, kasabay ba dito, sir, yung DCOC ng mga domestic or hindi siya considered as STCW certificates?
DCOC hindi kasali dyan.
So wala talaga, sir. I mean, all certificates excluding
CCW lang, certificates.
Okay, thank you, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you.
Ma'am, sirs, can we have a rejoinder?
Yes, ma'am. Yes po, Dr.
The National Vaccination Operations Center actually released an advisory number 70, mandating all local government units that even at the time of ECQ, the vaccination services should not be hampered and interrupted. This is aligned also with the drive that even in high burden COVID-19 burden areas, we can still roll out the vaccination. So the LGUs must assist all the vaccine recipients to their vaccination sites to enable the vaccine recipients to get their vaccination. Thank you for raising this question. We will coordinate with Batangas regarding what happened. Thank you.
Ma'am, sorry. Frankly speaking, we don't have any problem with Batangas LGU or the provincial government of Batangas. Tuloy po yung vaccination namin, and even the site, we use their site kasi mahirap magparehistro ng bagong site. So wala po kaming naging problema sa Batangas LGU, to be honest, or Batangas Provincial Government. So nagka-problema lang kami, ma'am, sa paglabas ng tao namin from the pier, which is 5 minutes away to the vaccination site. Doon lang po kami nagka-problema. To be fair sa Provincial Government of Batangas. We thank the Provincial Government of Batangas.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's also advisable na, ma'am, na the Batangas LGU to talk to PPA para magkaroon lang ng clear guidelines ang PPA which they belong to.
Yeah, I think it's just a miscommunication among agencies, and so it's better also to coordinate with all of these agencies so that we speak one language. Thank you.
Yes, we have the director of Batangas. Anyway, he is here. He may be, give us some more insights on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Capt. As the concern of Chelsea, tama po yun. Ang LGU natin, wala namang problema. They've been very supportive, doon sa ating site and everything, lahat yung mga logistical support. But we've experienced kasi nung una talaga, when nagkaroon tayo ng problema dyan sa ating isang barko na nagdumaong dito sa Batangas, that was na-involved sa may mga crew silang naging nagkaroon ng COVID. So the PPA in Batangas strictly implemented their internal policy na hindi pwedeng basta-basta. So naging stricto. So although na-solve naman namin yon for a while na kasi nagkaroon na talaga ng problema. So we called Coast Guard, PPA, Marina, and actually it's the role of DOQ, which is under the DOH. Ang DOQ na we also collaborated and coordinated, no? So finally, BOQ ang nag-issue po ng certain document to support yung transporting the crew who are in the port na scheduled sila for vaccination to bring them to the site. So yun yung naging problema eh. But sa ngayon, smooth naman po yung nangyari na ngayon. The PPA agreed to issue a clearance for some conditions lang kasi they are also protecting their perimeters. Yun yung nagiging napag-usapan. So I think what I suggest siguro sa Chelsea ngayon, mga 2 weeks before or 1 week before dun sa inyong second dose, you make the necessary clearance na or letter request allowing your officers on board or yung lahat ng crew on that date to yung i-arrange na natin kasi there are some requirements ang PPA kasi pinoprotektahan din nila yung perimeter nila eh. So it's a matter of coordination. So ang BOQ naman immediately could give some clearance and then yung clearance na yon will be passed on sa PPA allowing all the crew that are scheduled to be vaccinated on that day during that second one. Para lang at least hindi tayo magkaroon ng nagkakaroon kasi nung una ng chicken and egg eh. No, so medyo naayos naman na ito. Lately ang PPA nag-i-issue na sila ng certain letter reply or clearance to those shipping companies who are requesting for their officers on board na bababa, lalabas for vaccination. So smooth naman po. Ganun lang ang coordination natin. Siguro as early as 1 week or 2 weeks before sa schedule, ganun lang natin gagawin. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Regional Director Sir Carpio. And we are also very grateful sa support ng Marina during our first dose of vaccination. And yes, sir, we will do now the new sets of requirements kung ano man ang hinihingi nila. And again, aiming for a smooth ano. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. We still have questions in our chat box. I guess we will entertain one last question. We have here a question from Sir Eloy Calimoso of Seaway to Captain Solon. He said, is there an agreement how seafarers vaccinated abroad to be issued ICV? Is there an agreement on how seafarers vaccinated abroad to be issued ICV? Captain Jeff.
There is no specific agreement on this, but we were told by BOQ that as per WHO, the guidelines that they receive is that they can only issue an ICV only to those who are vaccinated here in the Philippines. And this is why they were in the first instance they were asking that the seafarers who are vaccinated on board or abroad can secure a sort of a attestation, sort of certification from the area where they have been vaccinated in order for them to be able to verify if that particular vaccination is authentic or not. But unfortunately, there were some instances that the certification issued abroad, the vaccination card has no QR code where they cannot verify. But there are a lot of questions or issues already raised to BOQ, and I'm not sure now what is the recent development on that. But my last knowledge on this issue is that they cannot issue unless it is verified or issued a certification from where they are vaccinated. We do understand the peculiarity of the ships because ang barko kasi when they arrive on a certain port and they are being vaccinated and they, after a few hours they leave the port, and sometimes there is no way for them to be able to go to a consular office and have this certified. Kaya nahihirapan talaga ang mga seaman natin. Ang dami nating seaman na nabakunahan na hindi makakuha ng ICV.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have one of our speakers raising her hand, Miss Tina Garcia.
Thank you, Eva. I just would like to make a rejoinder on the issue. Actually, BOQ is currently coordinating, or they have communicated with the WHO regarding this matter, because they really see the clamor for the ICV for those vaccinated abroad. However, until they get a clear guidance from WHO, this is really not possible at the moment. Yesterday, because I also have a number of crew members who were vaccinated in Europe, I have asked our principal if there is a possibility for them to obtain the EU vaccination passport. Now, the reply was that the vaccinator can do an entry in the ICV, in the yellow card. However, this can only be applied for those to be vaccinated. Parang hindi na pwedeng mag-enter yung vaccinator for those who have been vaccinated in the past. So parang hindi pwede yung retroactive. So now, for me, I would suggest na kung halimbawang hindi pa nababakunahan yung mga seafarers natin and they are about to leave and join the vessel, it is, or it might be a good practice for them to get the ICV kahit na wala pa silang COVID vaccine. Kasi with the ICV, pwede nang i-enter ng vaccinator abroad yung record, and that will be accepted internationally.
Thank you for that rejoinder, Tina. And then one issue of the ICV that we have now here is that it is not only the OFW are seeking for it, but there are a lot of regular travelers who opted to have this ICV as well. So the last record that was given to me, there were about 167,000 ICV issued nationwide, and only about 28,000 or 30,000, I think, are tagged as OFW. And out of that 30,000, which they cannot identify yet whether these are seafarers or non-seafarers, but they are only OFW. Hopefully by next month, they should be able already to give us clear details as to who are the seafarers and who are the non-seafarers, which they have promised to me. Thank you.
We have another raising hand from Captain Ed. Yes, Captain Ed.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Referring the ICV, International Certificate of Vaccination. Lahat naman po ng mga seafarer, experienced seafarer, meron na po silang mga...
Captain Ed, pwedeng palapit sa microphone kasi ang hina.
Mahina kaya. Lahat naman po, karamihan sa seafarer, meron po ICV dahil meron silang yellow fever vaccination, meron silang polio vaccine. At nakalagay po yan sa yellow card, sa ICV. So, ibig sabihin, meron na sila, dala-dala sa barko niya. Ang problema, yung BOQ, ang issue nila niya, nilagyan nila ng nakalagay ng wording or stamp doon sa below sa last entry sa ICV na nothing follows. So kung ang barko mapunta doon sa ibang port at na-injectionan sila ng Johnson & Johnson's, practically, yung BOQ doon sa kanila, ano ba tawag doon, yung mga nurse o doktor na mag-inject ng vaccine, doon nila ilalagay yan sa line na after ng nothing follows. So, pwede ba natin, sana may BOQ dito na representative, dahil ang topic natin, vaccination, ba't wala sila nito? So, sana, pwede ba natin maano yan sa BOQ o sa DOH na yung i-issue nilang ICV for yellow fever vaccination, polio, something like that. Huwag nila lagyan natin follows. Para naman yung sa may ibang mga port ay ma-entry doon ng nag-vaccinate ng Johnson & Johnson doon sa yellow fever na hawak-hawak na naman po natin. And that is acceptable internationally dahil ICV na ngayon. Pwede natin magawa ng paraan yan, Sir Jeff, Ma'am Tina. Thank you po.
Sir, may I reply?
Yeah, Tina, please.
Thank you. Sir Ed, the difference between the previously issued yellow card versus the newly issued ICV is like this. Ito po yung dati. I don't know if you can see. Yun yung sinasabi mo na merong nothing follows sa ilalim. Yun yung luma. However, dun sa bago, ito ay hindi makita. Sorry. Yun, di bale. Just to describe, yung bagong ICV po kasi, this is actually an 8-page vaccination passport. So, wala na pong nakalagay na nothing follows sa ilalim. Kasi this is supposed to be the record ng lahat ng vaccines ng mga seafarers natin. So, kung makakakuha po yung mga seafarers natin, that's why I suggested earlier na kahit na wala pa po silang COVID-19 vaccine, pwede na po silang kumuha ng ICV. I highly suggest na kumuha na sila ng ICV para pag po babakunahan sila sa labas, pwede na pong i-enter dito sa ICV natin. Kasi wala po nakalagay na nothing follows.
Thank you, Tina. That issue actually was raised. Ikaw ba yun ang nag-raise pala sa akin yan na Captain Ed? We coordinated that one with Dr. With BOQ, and that nothing follows kasi yung vaccination card kasi ay yung vaccine na J&J may sticker kasi yon, tapos idinikit doon sa yellow fever na vaccination card, which is supposed to be hindi yun dapat na doon nilagay. Dapat yung separate vaccine card dapat ang in-issue sa kanila. But however, still yung pagkuha nila ng yellow card, yung ICV, hindi pa rin sila mai-issuehan kahit nandoon nakalagay yan sa yellow fever card. Okay? So I suggest we don't call the ICV as yellow card now. Talagang ICV lang talaga yan kasi yung iba kasi doon pinagdidikit doon nilalagay yung vaccine sticker kasi yung J&J kasi may sticker kasama yun dinidikit sa vaccine card para makuha nila yung reference number pag nag-check sila. Yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you so much for expounding that, sir. Our organizers are very generous, so we are going to entertain one last question from our chat box. And I would like to reiterate to everyone that we have our feedback form in our chat box, please. We would really love to hear from you. We would like for everyone to please fill this out and send it to us through that link. So our last question, we have a question for the Philippine Navy to Captain Chavez, Captain Tirso Chavez.
Yes,
The question is, why is it the Philippine government military forces cannot finish or catch these groups of terrorists in our country, even though they already know the camp or the site where they are hiding? Why do the government wait that this group will make an untoward act before they attack and catch these groups? This question is from CMEN Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning once again. I am Captain Chavez, and thank you for that question. To answer that question, ma'am, actually, our Philippine government, particularly our armed forces of the Philippines, is really doing our best to continuously crack down these terrorists, particularly the ESG, the Abu Sayyaf group. One indication in which this Abu Sayyaf group have been decreased is that there are a lot of surrenderies right now. And we are happy to report that compared before, that they are harboring in a group of almost 100, and right now, they are only in a small group in which, as compared years ago, they become highly mobile and blending with the civilian populace. Ang nangyayari ma'am ngayon dito, marami na pong firearm being surrendered, and we are happy to report that last May, we have demilitarized almost 200 highly powered firearms na they are came from to this member of Abu Sayyaf group. Kaya yun po yung indication. And with that, there are a lot of line of efforts in which our government, particularly our armed forces of the Philippines, na ginagawa po namin ng lahat, ginagawa po natin ang lahat to continue to crack down and doing and giving the focused military operations in order to continuously complete and finish the atrocities being done by these ASC members. So, in the case of our Philippine Navy here in Western Mindanao, we secured the waters, especially in the Western Mindanao, as presented a while ago, that since 2019, the ESG was not able to conduct its piracy and armed robbery at sea. Through the intervention, we made especially the template of security handed to us by the former commander of NAVFOR-WEM, which is Vice Admiral Medina. At present, the number of ASG continue to decrease. They have shifted to land-based because they can't score at sea. But as for now, our Army, as I mentioned a while ago, and our Philippine Marine Corps as well, are doing their best effort, particularly the conduct of these focused military operations. Ang isa po nga indication niyan dating nakaraan, we are happy to report na there were 7 ASG being neutralized kasi po ang nagamit po natin ditong capabilities is our multi-purpose attack craft, meaning it is missile capable. It was during the time of our former flag officer in command, Vice Admiral Empedrad, that he gave premium on our modernization program, in which he gave priority on the defense needs of our Navy. Kaya we always see to it and ensure that this newly acquired missile capable were strategically deployed where it's a new capability bisuits to use this. Kaya yun po ang nangyari. And on behalf of our commander here in Western Mindanao, which is Rear Admiral Adasi, we are proud to say that your Navy here in Western Mindanao are always ready to respond in any eventualities, particularly to assist the Western Mindanao Command on the requirements when it comes to security, so that we can have a secure waters, particularly here in Western Mindanao. Maraming salamat po at have a nice morning to all of us.
We truly commend our well-rounded and very articulate speakers to really answer every question that our participants in the Zoom meeting has. So now, moving forward, we would like to thank everyone for enthusiastically participating in our two-day Maritime Industry Forum. This event could not have been as fruitful as it is without the collaboration, participation, and support from all of our speakers, our reactors, and of course, our audience in the Zoom meeting and our Facebook Live. But before anything else, we would like to, on behalf of the Marina, let me read the certificate of appreciation to be awarded to our esteemed panel of speakers. So the certificate of appreciation reads, to our esteemed speakers, namely Miss Cristina H. Garcia, President of ALMA Maritime Group, Mr. Renato June Pablo Jr., Regional Director, International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, and of course the Captain Tirso L. Chavez of the Philippine Navy. And together, of course, with the enthusiastic reactors, we award the Certificate of Appreciation for imparting their invaluable knowledge as resource speakers and reactors during the Maritime Industry Forum, the Philippine Maritime Industry amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, today and tomorrow, on 23 September 2021, via Zoom video conference application. Given this 23rd day of September 2021 in Manila, Philippines, signed Vice Admiral Robert A. Empedran. Once again, we will be sending a copy of the certificate to all of our speakers and reactors. May we give everyone a virtual round of applause. Thank you so much, moms and sirs. It really is an honor for us to be educated by our esteemed panel of speakers. So to officially close our symposium, may we call on our Marina Deputy Administrator for Planning, Attorney Jean Verpia, to finally conclude our two-day Maritime Symposium. Good afternoon, Attorney Jean.
Thank you, Eva. To our esteemed Marina Administrator, Vice Admiral Robert A. Empedran, Deputy Administrator Engineer Nanette Dinopol, Executive Director of SCCW Office, Vice Admiral Rene Medina, and Deputy Executive Director, Captain Jeffrey Solon, my colleagues in Marina and the government, to our distinguished panel of speakers, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I greet all of you a pleasant and productive afternoon. As we render our fruitful activity to a close, and on behalf of the Marina, let me take this opportunity to extend our sincerest gratitude to our resource speakers for imparting to us their knowledge and expertise during the second day of the Marina Industry Virtual Symposium. Accordingly, and through the virtual tokens of appreciation, allow me to convey our recognition to our first speaker from ALMA Maritime Group, Ms. Cristina H. Garcia, for providing the updates on the vaccination of Filipino seafarers and informing us on the issues and challenges and how you have addressed this along with the TWG of the vaccination of seafarers. We salute you, Ma'am Tina, and for the rest of the team for all the hard work you have been doing in order to help with the health and safety of our Filipino seafarers. Let me also express our appreciation to Mr. Renato June Pablo Jr. of the International Seafarers Welfare and Assistance Network, or ICE1, for informing us on the impact of the health and safety of navigation of stranded seafarers at sea. We likewise render our snappy salute to your organization for the pastoral care to the Filipino seafarers to address mental health issues and taking care of their welfare through your vast network here and abroad. We also extend our thanks to Captain Tirso L. Chavez, sir, of the Philippine Navy, for updating us on your efforts to address the piracy and armed robbery issues at sea in the Philippine waters. We thank you for your exhaustive and informative presentation and the performance of your mandate, which ensures the maritime security of not only of our Filipino waters and the ships, passengers, and cargoes, but most importantly, our Filipino seafarers. We would also like to thank our dear reactors from the Disease Prevention and Control Bureau, from the Department of Health, Dr. Keisha Lorraine H. Rosario, ma'am, as National Immunization Program Coordinator. We also like to extend our thanks to Commander Benjamin G. Formentos Jr. of the Philippine Coast Guard and Mr. Paul Rodriguez from the Philippine Coastwise Shipping Association, and of course our very own Deputy Executive Director of SCCW, Captain Jeffrey Solon. So if you notice, for this second day, we talk about seafarers' health and safety, both physical and mental, the pastoral care that is extended towards them by different organizations in order to ensure their welfare. May I highlight the suggestion of Captain Solon to extend this care to other frontliners who are delivering ancillary services for continuous deployment of our seafarers. And of course, we also heard about updates on maritime security, which also benefits our seafarers, not only the passengers, cargoes, the ships, and the maritime waters. Of course, we will not have this successful maritime industry virtual forum without the help of our organizing committee, to the leadership of the different marina directors and OICs, as well as their team, with special mention to our OIC director, Louis de los Santos. Louis, thank you. And to your team. If I can speak to you, all of you, let me tell you that I am in awe of your diligence and competence in organizing this 2-day virtual forum and for making it a success. Now, addressing all of our participants, with your continuous support and our collaborative effort as a whole, this symposium, as part of the activities for the Maritime and Archipelagic Nation Awareness Month, or MANAMO, and the National Maritime Week celebration, is a great stepping stone for us to continue to accelerate the progress towards more inclusive recovery and for our sustainable economy, especially at these trying and unprecedented times. We have a lot to do. We do recognize that. And on the part of the Marina, let me inform you that we will continue to update our Maritime Industry Development Plan and all of its 10 programs in order to ensure our preparedness not only during the pandemic, but in other unprecedented times. Once again, thank you for your support and active participation today. Please continue to participate on the rest of the activities we have prepared for you in celebration of the MANAMO and the National Maritime Week. I wish you all good health, and then for you to all to stay safe. Maraming salamat at magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Thank you so much, Attorney Jean Verpia, to our untiring Marina officials, and of course, truly to the organizing team. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, to our distinguished guests, friends from the national government, colleagues from the Marina, stakeholders, and of course, the seafarers watching with us in the Facebook Live. We extend our sincerest gratitude to all of you. Once again, on behalf of my co-host, Dr. Jinky Mendoza, we greet everyone a very productive and a fruitful day. Thank you so much for joining us in our 2-day Maritime Industry Symposium. Thank you, everyone, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Exhausted, weak. At times like this, your voice is what we seek. We're in the heart, you're right. We stay connected every morning and night. Power's draining, suffocating. I just need to hear you now. Words that fuel me uplifted. You got me feeling that somehow. I got to get up, and the wave can never stop me. Get up and move. We get up as we propel across the oceans. Together we sail the world. For you, we do it for you. We get up, and the storm can never stop us now. Just know that we sail for you. Yo, get up in the morning, up from the bed. Every day striving, gotta move ahead. Pushing up, dress up, raise your head. Set the gears up, away from code red. So long we've been sailing for our loved ones with a roof on the ceiling. Look keep on fighting, okay? Giving up, no way. Never underestimate all the sacrifices of seafarers all over the world. No matter what happens, we're always resilient just to bring you all of this good. For the sake of our families, help bridging the economy. Let's pray for you and me that one day our world will be COVID free. Get up, no faith can never stop me. Get up and move. We get up as we propel across oceans. Together we sail the world. For you, we do it for you. We get up, no storm can never stop us now. Just know that we sail for you. Can't go home now, yeah. Can't go home yet. Gotta finish what we started. Gotta finish what we signed on. Most of all, we gotta do it for you. We get up, no wave can never stop us. We get up and move. We get up as we propel across the oceans. Together we sail the world. We do it for you. We do it for you. We get up, no storm can never stop us now. You know we do it all for you. You. Oh, we'll always sail for you.
La 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 la. Anong balita dyan ng mga chong? Ayos pa ba ang buhay kahit parang nakakulong? Ang pagtatrabaho ngayon sa barko ng mga tripulanting Pilipino. At sa paglipas ng bawat sandali, kaya pa rin ngumiti kahit di makauwi. Awit, kabaro kabayan, kapagod wala yan kasi talagang ganyan sa profesyon natin. Konting tiis magkakasahod din. At ngayon sabay-sabay nating awitin. Lalala, basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masihigit pa kahit na marami mang problema ang dumaan. Wala lang yan, basta't nandyan ang buong katropa. Ako, ikaw, sila, halina't kumanta. Lala, la 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 la. Laging saludo at taas noo, magsaraman ng mundo, tuloy pa rin ng pagserbisyo. Ang mga kargada pinapadala para sa kinabukasan ng mga bansa. Cause we are sailing around the world together. Iba my darling, yung iba naman walang forever. Kabaro kabayan, padayon lang laban kasi talagang ganyan sa profesyon natin. Malayo man makakaraos din. At ngayon sabay-sabay nating awitin. Lalala, basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masihigit pa kahit na marami mang problema ang dumaan. Wala lang yan, basta't nandyan ang buong katropa. Ako, ikaw, sila, halina't kumanta. Lalala, kahit saan man tayo mapunta, balang araw magkikita pa rin sana. Lalala, Basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masihigit pa kahit na may bagyo man o pandemya, maalon man o walang-wala. Basta tayo sama-sama ay wala na masihigit pa kahit na marami mang problema ang dumaan. Isipin lang na para yan sa ating pamilya. Ako, ikaw sila, halina't kumanta. Lala, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la.
Tutoy, ingat ka dyan palagi. Hiniintay ka na ng pamangkin mo. Magbe-birthday na naman ang pamangkin mo, wala ka na naman, sayang.
Kuya, pag uwi niyo po, pasalubungan niyo po ako. Gusto ko po ng bike.
Hello?
Bart, standby.
Okay, sige.
Naglalakihang alon, nagwawala sa dilim. Bugso ng malakas na hangin, sumasabay na rin. Unti-unting nagdidilim ang langit, wala ka na makikitang bituin. Sumasabay sa agos, lumalaban sa unos. Pangungulila ay tinitis, binaliwalang pagod ang mabigyan ng magandang buhay ang mga minamahal at ang makatulong sa inang bayan sa isang simpleng paraan. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, ang husay mo'y kinikilala saan mang sulok sa mundo. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, taas noong umuwi sa bayan ko. Nais kong ipaalam sa aking mga kaibigan kung ano ba talaga ang kalagayan ng mga seaman. Baka kasi akala nyo lang na kami ay manhid at wala nang pakiramdam. Hindi kaya ang nasa isip nyo kami ay mga superman na di tinatabla ng pagod kailanman. Sala sa init, sala sa lamig, lahat ginagawa pangarap lang ay makamit. Gusto nang umuwi pero wala pang kapalit. Dumadagdag pa sa pasakit ang biyay na kurig, kaya relax na lang kung kaya mo yan. Walang makatitinag sa matibay na damdamin ng isang seaman. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, ang husay mo'y kinikilala saan mang sulok sa mundo. Pinoy Marino, bayaning Pilipino, taas noong umuwi sa bayan ko.
Anak, ilang Pasko at birthday ka na namin hindi nakakasama. Kailan ka ba uwi? Ingatan mo lagi ang sarili mo.
Anak, nakuha ko na padala mong pampagawa natin ng bahay. Ingat ka dyan lagi. Mahal ka namin.
kami sa inyong pagkakaalam? Ano ba ang parte sa mundong ginagaluhan? Kung wala kami, paano na ang galagalan? Tsak na di makakarating inyong pangangailangan. Palutang-lutang sa karagatan, malayo sa kanyang tahanan. Ang mga bagay na yan baliwala lang para sa magandang kinabukasan. Mga tipo ng taong matatatag, sa naglalaki ang alon di ba titibag. Naisipan kita sa nakakarami, kung ano nga ba at sino ba kami. Kami lang naman o ang nagsusuklay ng langis nang sa inyong sasakyan may mailagay. At din namin iba't ibang pagkain nang sa inyong hapagkainan may maihain. Kami din nagdi-deliver ng mga damit, mga gadget material na inyong ginagamit. Isipin nyo na lang kung kami mawawala, paano tatakbo ekonomiya sa isang bansa. Man kung kami tawagin, likas na matyaga makamit lang ang adikain. Pagod, normal na lang sa amin, hanggang kinabukasan kuya't matuloy pa rin. Bagyo man ay kadasuungin, matibay ang loob sa nalupa-lupat pa rin. Pagsubok, lahat ay kakayanin, dugong Pilipino taglay ang aking galing. Sino ba kami sa inyong pagkakaalam? Ano ba ang porde sa mundong ginagaluhan? Kung wala kami, paano na ang galagalan? Tsak na di makakarating inyong pangangailangan. Unti-unting lumiliwanag na naman aming uumpisahan ng magkapungbabakan. Sinimula na sa kubyerta ni maestro, kaya tiktikalawang nasa kanya-kanyang pwesto. Habang kami naman doon sa ilalim, masigasig na nakikinig ng tulwak siting. Aking inanda ang mga tools na gagamitin. Nasira ang bomba kaya aming babaklasin. Kung tatanungin nyo asan si Mayor, andun yung sa gali nagluluto yung for sure. O siya, tapos na ang trabaho, tara magpahinga sa kainan magsalo-salo. Sino ba kami sa inyong pagkakaalam? Ano ba ang porde sa mundong ginagaluhan? Kung wala kami, paano na ang galagalan? Tsak na di makakarating inyong pangangailangan. Naman ang nangyari sa hinaharap, tuloy pa rin sa pagsilbi. Kulang ang isang kanta para malaman nyo kung anong nga ba